Chapter 1. The Terrifying Primitive Jungle. Otherworld, Primordial Continent, Southern Wilderness Mountain Range. Xian, hold on, we can escape soon. In a daze, Jiang Xuan heard a girl's voice beside his ear. He struggled to open his eyes and saw the towering ancient trees and sprawling old vines of a primitive forest. Jiang Xuan found himself lying on the back of a girl who was running quickly, making him, already feeling dizzy, very uncomfortable with the jolts. At the same time, a continuous stabbing pain came from his chest, and it was obviously bleeding. He must have been seriously injured, which made the dizzy Jiang Xuan close his eyes. After an unknown amount of time, the panting girl finally stopped running and placed him under a large tree. Xian, open your eyes and look at me. Don't scare your sister. The girl's call sounded beside his ear, and Jiang Xuan struggled to open his eyes again, seeing a girl wearing beast-hide clothing, looking panicked. Where is this? Who are you? Jiang Xuan wanted to ask, but he found himself too weak to speak. Wait here for me. I'll find herbs to stop your bleeding. The girl hurriedly ran away, leaving the immobile Jiang Xuan lying on the ground, staring at the unfamiliar world and smelling the strange mix of grass and blood. What's going on? Jiang Xuan remembered clearly that he was just working late into the night, fell asleep, and somehow ended up here. Is this a dream? Suddenly, he felt a dizzying whirl, and a flood of information was poured into his mind. After a while, he finally regained composure and digested the information. Firstly, he had crossed dimensions, arriving in a highly dangerous primordial world. The original body was a 12-year-old boy named Xian, a member of a primitive small tribe, and the girl was his sister, Qi Xiao, older by 1 year. Primitive people named casually, taking whatever came to mind. Xian represented dark red in the tribe, symbolizing string, as the character resembled woven string. Qi Xiao, on the other hand, is just the name of a herb, without other meanings. Additionally, their tribe was just defeated by a hostile tribe, and their parents sacrificed themselves to help Qi Xiao and Xian escape. In the fight, Xian was stabbed by the enemy's Mao, and Qi Xiao carried him while escaping. Halfway through, Xian succumbed to his injuries and died. Coincidentally, at the same time, Jiang Xuan crossed over and inherited everything. The mysterious power of crossing over temporarily saved his life, but if the bleeding couldn't be stopped or the wound got seriously infected, he would still die. In this dire situation, Jiang Xuan was powerless to complain, and now the most important thing was how to save his own life. Rustle, rustle, rustle. At this moment, Jiang Xuan suddenly heard a continuous sound. He turned his head, his face stiffened, and a look of terror appeared in his eyes. He saw a giant centipede over 1/2 meter in length, seemingly attracted by the scent of blood, quickly crawling toward him. The centipede was entirely red, larger than any centipede he had ever seen before, with a body like iron armor, cold eyes, sharp mandibles, and hook-like many legs, which sent chills down his spine. It's over, it's over. Could he die right after crossing over? Jiang Xuan watched the hideous centipede crawl closer, its venomous jaws opening and closing constantly. As soon as it got close, it would sting Jiang Xuan and inject venom, at which point Jiang Xuan would surely die. No! Jiang Xuan felt his blood almost freeze as he uttered weak sounds, unable to stop the centipede from getting closer. Just when Jiang Xuan was about to despair, suddenly, a short spear flew with a swish, piercing into the centipede's back, pinning it firmly to the ground. By this point, the enormous centipede was less than 30 centimeters from Jiang Xuan. Had the spear been a bit slower, he would have been doomed. Xian, are you all right? Qi Xiao hurriedly ran over, holding a handful of herbs in her hand. She walked to the centipede impaled by the short spear, ignored its writhing body, and accurately stepped on the centipede's head, pulling out a sharp stone knife from her waist and slicing off the centipede's head in one motion. Phew! Jiang Xuan let out a long sigh, temporarily saving his life, though he was really scared to death earlier. The centipede's body continued to twitch slightly, but could no longer sting. Gratefully, Jiang Xuan looked at Qi Xiao, thankful that this sister saved his life. Let me apply some medicine on you first. Qi Xiao put the herbs into her mouth, chewing them quickly. After thoroughly chewing the herbal remedy, she undid Jiang Xuan's beast hide, clothing, and applied the chewed herbs to his wound. Strangely enough, as soon as the herbs were applied, Jiang Xuan felt a cool sensation on his wound, and the bleeding noticeably began to slow down. Qi Xiao then opened the beast hide bag hanging from her waist, took out a white spider web resembling cotton cloth, and covered the wound along with the herbs, then helped him put on his beast hide clothing. It's not safe here. Sister will take you to find a safer place. After tending to Jiang Xuan's wound, Qi Xiao placed the beheaded giant centipede into the beast hide bag, then hoisted Jiang Xuan on her back and resumed their run. Along the way, Jiang Xuan saw many creatures and plants that made his skin crawl. For instance, spiders as large as wash basins, scorpions the size of watermelons, mantises that could cut through tree branches as thick as an arm, and so on. Even the plants were not to be trifled with. Jiang Xuan witnessed firsthand as a bird approached a brilliantly colored flower, only for the barbed petals to snap shut, turning the bird into fertilizer. If he were watching a documentary, Jiang Xuan would surely find these creatures and plants fascinating, but being in the midst of it all, he felt only fear. The primitive forest of this world was extremely dangerous. A slight mishap might cost you your life. Qi Xiao's endurance was beyond Jiang Xuan's imagination. She carried him for 3 to 4 hours, avoiding various dangers along the way. Yet her pace never slowed, and her breathing remained steady. Not until dusk did Qi Xiao find a cave, finally allowing herself a sigh of relief. The cave was not deep, and there was plenty of dry wood inside, with some ashes and charcoal on the ground, clearly indicating someone had once made a fire here. There was also a pile of dry grass on the ground. Qi Xiao first turned over the dry grass and meticulously checked it for hidden venomous creatures before spreading it out and laying Jiang Xuan on top. It's getting dark. I'll start a fire first. Qi Xiao found a hard stick and a softer piece of wood with a groove from the pile of dry wood. Using the stone knife, she sharpened one end of the stick, placed it in the groove of the wood, and began to rub rapidly. Jiang Xuan, who had watched several survival programs in his past life, knew this was called the fire plow method, creating fire by friction, generating heat to spark a flame and light a fire. As Qi Xiao rubbed, she explained to Jiang Xuan, "When I used to go hunting with the hunting team, if we couldn't return by nightfall, we would stay here. There's several places like this." Scrape, scrape, scrape. Under Qi Xiao's friction, many fine wood shavings formed in the groove of the wood, and the end of the stick became charred. A wisp of smoke rose up. Qi Xiao set aside the stick, cupped the piece of wood in her hands, and blew gently into it. A spark quickly ignited the fine wood shavings, forming a kindling. Qi Xiao grabbed a handful of dry moss, kneaded it into a large ball, then used the stone knife to transfer the spark into the dry moss, blowing gently. The moss emitted a thick smoke before suddenly bursting into flames. With keen eyes and quick hands, Qi Xiao placed the burning moss on the ground, adding small dry branches on top. Once they caught fire, she added larger dry branches. Very soon, a fire was roaring, illuminating the cave. Qi Xiao went outside the cave, found a fresh branch, and shaved off the forks and bark with the stone knife. Returning inside, she took the half-meter-long centipede from the beast hide bag, skewered it whole with the branch, and placed it by the fire to roast. The centipede was poisonous when alive, but once roasted, it became non-toxic and edible. The centipede shell crackled with pop, pop, pop sounds, and under the intense heat, its meat soon emitted a savory aroma. After the giant centipede was thoroughly roasted, Qi Xiao peeled off the shell, tore off pieces of centipede meat, and held them to Jiang Xuan's mouth. "Eat up. The more you eat, the faster your wound will heal." Jiang Xuan, already famished from being injured and not having eaten all day, ignored whether it was centipede or something else as the aroma hit him, and opened his mouth to eat. Swallowing half a centipede, Jiang Xuan felt as if he'd come back to life. "You eat too," Jiang Xuan said with difficulty, speaking the tribal language. Qi Xiao nodded with a smile and ate the remaining centipede meat herself. She needed to maintain her strength to better protect Jiang Xuan. After finishing the centipede meat, Qi Xiao gave Jiang Xuan some water, changed his dressing, and gathered many thick dry branches to block the entrance of the cave, in case any wild beasts intruded in the middle of the night. Once everything was done, Qi Xiao sat by the fire, with Jiang Xuan lying on the pile of dry grass, the wood crackling and popping as it burned. Busy as they were, they hadn't had time to think much. Now that they were idle, emotions surged all at once. Staring at the flickering flames, Qi Xiao murmured softly, "The tribe is gone. What are we going to do from now on?" Jiang Xuan struggled to speak. If it comes to it, we will rebuild a tribe." Qi Xiao smiled faintly, but said nothing. In this perilous primitive forest, establishing a tribe with just the two of them would not be easy. Not at all. Chapter 2: Herbal Healing. That night, Jiang Xuan didn't sleep well. Terrifying beastly roars, strange bird calls, and various insect noises from outside instilled fear in people. Qi Xiao feared a beast attack at night, so she stayed on watch for most of the night and only took a nap at dawn. Early the next morning, when Qi Xiao woke up, the fire had gone out. She dug out the still smoldering embers and rekindled the fire. As Qi Xiao was making the fire, Jiang Xuan also woke up. Qi Xiao stood up and said, "I'm going to look for some food nearby. Wait for me here. Be careful. Don't worry." Qi Xiao headed out with the stone knife and short spear, quickly disappearing into the distance. Only Jiang Xuan was left in the cave, along with the burning fire. Jiang Xuan raised his hand and found that he had regained some strength. At least speaking wasn't as difficult as yesterday. Worried about his wound, he carefully removed the cobwebs and herbal residue covering it. The situation was much better than he had expected. The wound had closed, and although it hadn't scabbed over, there was no sign of infection. This was good news. He hoped the wound would heal soon, so he could regain full mobility. Jiang Xuan rebandaged the wound and laid down at ease. However, after a long wait, Qi Xiao didn't return. During the wait, he couldn't help but let his mind wander. What if something happened in this dangerous jungle? What if Qi Xiao couldn't come back? He was so severely injured and unable to move. Without Qi Xiao, he could only wait for death. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Just as Jiang Xuan grew more anxious, he heard light footsteps outside, and Qi Xiao's figure appeared. Jiang Xuan breathed a sigh of relief. "Finally, you're back. I caught a snake and found some herbs, so it took a bit longer." Qi Xiao had a large snake draped over her shoulder, as thick as a bowl. The snake's head had been cut off, its belly slit open, and its innards cleaned out. Jiang Xuan marveled once more. The women of the primitive tribe are truly fierce. "We're having roasted snake meat today." Qi Xiao carved a thick wooden branch, used a stone knife to cut the snake into sections, skewered them onto the branch, and placed it into the ground next to the fire, about 10 centimeters from the flames. You can't roast meat directly over the flames, or it will burn. Tribal people usually skewer the meat on sticks and place them near the fire, not directly in the flames, using the dispersed heat to slowly roast them. The only downside is that roasting takes a long time. Once the snake meat was prepared, Qi Xiao opened her beast-hide bag and took out some freshly gathered herbs. Qi Xiao chewed the fresh herbs in her mouth and changed the old medicine on Jiang Xuan's wound. Then she handed Jiang Xuan 2 plant roots and instructed him to chew and swallow some of the juice. This plant is a commonly used healing medicine by the tribes, known as 7-leaf clover. Its roots have anti-inflammatory and pain-relieving properties. Jiang Xuan remembered from his predecessor's memory that he had taken this medicine a few times with no adverse effects. Jiang Xuan put the 7-leaf flower's root in his mouth, chewed a bit, and almost spat it out immediately. Bitter, extremely bitter, a torment to the tongue. But this is the primordial era, and with severe injuries, he had no choice but to endure it. Qi Xiao looked at him softly. "It's a bit bitter, but bear with it. Once the wound heals, you won't need to take it anymore." Jiang Xuan nodded, indicating he would take the medicine properly. "By the way, sister, how do you know so many herbs?" Jiang Xuan was curious. I learned from the people in the hunting team. Qi Xiao explained, during hunts, the hunting team often gets injured. Knowing more about herbs can save your life if you're hurt and alone. I see. Jiang Xuan realized this must be what they mean by experience makes the healer. After speaking, Qi Xiao fell silent, evidently thinking about the tribe and her relatives. Seeing her discomfort, Jiang Xuan refrained from asking more. The snake meat roasted for about an hour, until it was golden brown, and Qi Xiao took it down, giving half to Jiang Xuan and keeping half for herself. The roasted snake meat was unseasoned and had no grease, but for two stranded people, having meat was already quite good, with nothing to complain about. In this way, Jiang Xuan lay in the cave for 10 days, during which Qi Xiao would go out daily to search for food and herbs. Sometimes she was quite successful, and sometimes she would get slightly injured. The tribespeople in this world were strong and robust, with significant recovery capabilities. 10 days later, Jiang Xuan could finally walk. Once he had regained his mobility, Jiang Xuan eagerly began to move around in the small area near the cave entrance. He wanted to adapt to this wild, primordial world as soon as possible to face future dangers. 5 days more passed, and Jiang Xuan's injuries were no longer a concern. He began setting snare traps near the cave to catch small prey. He succeeded with his trap, but instead of catching a bird or rabbit, it was a teal bug the size of a teacup. When he approached, the bug was bound by a thin vine around its waist, and the bent branch had lifted it off the ground, making its plump body wriggle. Is this thing edible? Some experts have asserted that an insect of equal size has 4 times the protein content of beef. But this thing hardly looked appetizing, and its appearance made it difficult to accept. However, it was food and the first creature Jiang Xuan had caught in this world. He didn't want to let it go. Jiang Xuan removed the vine from the branch and brought the plump bug back to the cave, intending to ask Qi Xiao about it when she returned. However, while he waited, he suddenly heard a group of crows cawing. Caw, caw, caw. The harsh crow calls made Jiang Xuan tense up unconsciously. From his predecessor's memories, he knew that it was the crow tribe that annihilated the tribe where Xian and Qi Xiao lived. The sound of these crows was a nightmare existence for his predecessor. The crow tribe has over 3,000 people, raising a large number of crows. These crows can help them scout from the air and assist in hunting and fighting, making them extremely ferocious. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Rapid footsteps came from outside the cave, and Jiang Xuan nervously gripped a stick and hid in the shadows. Xian, Xian. At this moment, Qi Xiao's voice came from the cave entrance, and Jiang Xuan immediately ran out. Qi Xiao was visibly tense, urging, "Hurry, the Crow tribe's hunting team is coming this way. We can't stay here. Wait a moment, I have something inside." Jiang Xuan quickly dashed into the cave, picked up the bug-bound and rope, crushed its head with a stone, and ran outside. This was his first catch in this world. Although it was only a bug and seemed unpalatable, he didn't want to abandon it. "Your wound hasn't fully healed. I'll carry you." Qi Xiao glanced at the bug, then carried Jiang Xuan on her back without saying much, quickly vanishing into the vast, primitive jungle. Shortly after they left, a group of tribe people arrived at the cave, wearing beast-hide clothing, mysterious patterns painted on their faces, with crow feathers in their hair. Above them, hundreds of crows circled, cawing loudly and harshly. "Someone's been here." Someone found the snare traps and footprints on the ground. Soon after, they discovered the cave, where the fire wasn't completely out and some leftover bones lay on the ground. They just left not long ago. "This is our Crow tribe's new hunting ground. No outsiders are allowed to enter. Catch up and kill them." Caw, caw, caw. The Crow tribe hunting team, accompanied by the crows, immediately began searching the area. If Qi Xiao and Jiang Xuan were caught with their identities, they would definitely be ruthlessly killed. Chapter 3. Bamboo Forest Cottage. "Sister, put me down. I can run by myself." Qi Xiao had been carrying Jiang Xuan on her back. Because she was running so fast and the jungle path was difficult to navigate, she was drenched in sweat and gasping for breath. "You're still injured." Running too fast will tear your wounds open, which will cause a lot of trouble. It's okay, I can still keep going. Qi Xiao continued running forward, not daring to stop, because behind them she could faintly hear the cawing of crows, indicating that the Crow tribe's hunting team had not been left behind. Jiang Xuan felt helpless. If the Crow tribe's hunting team had appeared a few days later, his injuries would have healed, and he could run on his own without making Qi Xiao carry him. The cawing of the crows gradually faded. Who knows how long they ran, when a bamboo grove appeared in front of them. Qi Xiao's face showed a look of joy. We've reached it. This is the furthest temporary overnight spot of the hunting team. Qi Xiao carried Jiang Xuan up the mountain and walked into a bamboo grove. Deep in the grove, there was a bamboo hut built by the previous hunting team. Oh no, someone's inside. Qi Xiao was just about to go in when she suddenly noticed a faint white smoke rising from the rooftop, clearly indicating someone had lit a fire inside. Qi Xiao immediately hid behind a large rock with Jiang Xuan, not daring to make a sound. Who's there? Come out. At that moment, someone shouted from the direction of the bamboo hut, followed by the sound of footsteps rapidly approaching. What should they do? After escaping for so many days, were they finally going to die? Despair showed in Qi Xiao's eyes. She had run too far, carrying Jiang Xuan, and no longer had the strength to flee with him. Of course, she could abandon Jiang Xuan here and run herself. With him as a distraction, and being familiar with the area, she had a good chance of escaping. Sister, you should go. Don't worry about me. Jiang Xuan had somewhat resigned to his fate. Qi Xiao was a good sister, having taken care of him carefully for so many days. Since they were destined not to escape, he saw no need for them both to die together. It was just a pity that he had just crossed over and hadn't realized his dream of building a tribe before facing death. However, Qi Xiao tightly held his hand, her eyes firm as she said, "You're my brother. You're my only family. Even if it means death, I won't leave you behind." You don't have to do this. Jiang Xuan's feelings were complicated. Only he knew that he wasn't Qi Xiao's real brother. Don't say any more. They're here. Qi Xiao drew her stone knife with her left hand and held her short spear in her right, her eyes fierce and determined, ready for a last stand. The footsteps grew closer, and instead of being very anxious, Jiang Xuan felt a sense of calm. He looked at Qi Xiao's profile, and something touched the softest part of his heart. For all these days, he had felt awkward because he was an outsider. Even though he had the original owner's memories, he didn't feel a genuine familial bond with Qi Xiao. But now, faced with Qi Xiao's willingness to die rather than leave him, her resolve deeply moved him. Thinking of the meticulous care Qi Xiao had given him these past days, Jiang Xuan finally resolved his inner conflict and formally accepted Qi Xiao. Sister, thank you. He called her sister willingly, and the sense of alienation in his heart vanished completely. Without looking back, Qi Xiao charged fearlessly at the unknown enemy, holding her short spear and stone knife. Gritting his teeth, Jiang Xuan picked up a stone and also rushed out, intending to fight. However, when he charged out from behind the rock, he saw Qi Xiao holding her short spear in an attacking stance, but not striking. Go Tung, Shiqiu, Nanxing, it's you. 3 young boys stood in front of Qi Xiao, about 11 or 12 years old, holding bone spears or bamboo bows, staring in daze. Jiang Xuan silently dropped the stone he was holding because he was familiar with these people. The tribe Jiang Xuan originally belonged to was the Deer tribe, and these people were all members of the Deer tribe. The 3 young boys were named Go Tung, Shiqiu, and Nanxing. Go Tung was the same age as Jiang Xuan, 12, while Shiqiu was 11, and Nanxing was only 10, fairly young. The boy named Go Tung put down his bone spear and exclaimed in amazement, "Qi Xiao, Xuan, you're still alive? That's wonderful." The 3 boys lowered their weapons. After the Deer tribe's destruction, this was the first time they saw familiar faces, and they were particularly excited. Qi Xiao put away her short spear and asked, "How did you end up here?" Go Tung said, "Let's talk inside. We're roasting bamboo chicken in there." All right. Qi Xiao and Jiang Xuan followed them into the bamboo hut. Inside, Jiang Xuan saw 2 roasted bamboo chickens, some golden yellow grubs on a stone slab, a pile of wild fruits, and several blocky plant roots. "We caught these 2 bamboo chickens with snare traps here. Take them." Gotong handed the 2 roasted bamboo chickens to Qi Xiao and Jiang Xuan without hesitation. Qi Xiao took one of the chickens, tore it in half, gave half to Jiang Xuan, and returned the chicken in Jiang Xuan's hand to Gotong. "One is enough for us." Goting didn't refuse. Given their young age, getting meat was difficult. Qi Xiao ate while asking, "How did you escape to here?" Gotong recounted the escape process. It turns out, when the Crow tribe attacked the Deer tribe, due to the disparity in strength, the Deer tribes witch and leader both knew that the battle was lost and their tribe was doomed. The witch and leader ordered hunting Captain Song Shu to lead the tribe's children to escape, preserving a seed of hope for their clan. But escaping through layers of encirclement was no easy task. During the battle, Song Shu was severely injured, and the warriors around him died one by one. When he finally broke through, he only had these 3 boys left with him. Song Shu took these 3 boys and fled until they arrived here. Qi Xiao quickly asked, "What happened to Uncle Song Shu?" Their eyes dimmed immediately. Goting softly replied, "He died. Uncle Song Shu was badly injured. After bringing us here, he died within a few days. We buried him in the bamboo grove." Qi Xiao showed a trace of sadness, but she was strong and did not cry. Jiang Xuan pondered, "The Crow tribe has already taken over the hunting ground. They'll eventually find this place. It's no longer safe here." The mention of the Crow tribe brought a look of fear into the boys' eyes, making them momentarily panic. Goting asked, "Then what should we do?" Jiang Xuan said, "To survive, we must move far away from the Crow tribe's territory. We'll run farther and find a safe place to settle first." Qi Xiao nodded. Xian is right. With the tribe gone, we need to live well to take revenge in the future. Gotong clenched his fists. Revenge. In Shurqiu and Nanxing's eyes, flames of revenge burned. They were young and didn't understand how difficult it would be to seek revenge on the Crow tribe. Jiang Xuan said, "Let's pack up. The Crow tribe could come anytime. We'll leave here tomorrow." "All right, we'll listen to you." The 3 boys had no opinion on this. At their young age, they instinctively relied on those stronger than themselves in such major matters. So, the 5 had a full meal, set more traps in the bamboo grove, and gathered bamboo worms, trying to prepare as much food as possible. The large worm that Jiang Xuan brought was also roasted and shared among everyone. It tasted surprisingly good. In the evening, Qi Xiao quietly walked into the bamboo grove and added some dirt to the lonely grave. No one knew what she was thinking. The next day, the 5 set out again to search for a safer place to live. Chapter 4: Stone Mountain and Ancient Vine. Bang, bang, bang. Woo, woo, woo. In the primitive forest, Jiang Xuan and the others walked while striking trees with bamboo, occasionally letting out howls from their mouths. They had left the bamboo forest 2 days ago, and Jiang Xuan's injuries had mostly healed. Walking was no longer a problem. Ahead of them was a forest that even the Deer tribe's hunting team had never ventured into, with no traces of human activity. In such a place, the need for caution was not against humans, but rather against those terrifying beasts. When leaving the bamboo forest, each person brought a small bamboo stick about 2 fingers thick. This bamboo, unlike giant bamboo, was not very tall, but very tough. Striking trees with bamboo produced a loud, crisp sound to deter fierce birds and beasts. Usually, normal beasts would leave on their own upon hearing such a loud noise. Qi Xiao suddenly stopped ahead, turning her ear to listen. Jiang Xuan nervously asked, "What is it?" Gotong and others were also nervous. In such an unfamiliar place, there were too many deadly dangers, impossible to predict when they might encounter one. Qi Xiao closed her eyes and listened carefully for a moment. "It seems like there's the sound of flowing water up ahead." Jiang Xuan listened carefully and nodded. "Indeed, there's the sound of flowing water." Goting asked, "Should we go over there?" Jiang Xuan pondered for a while. "Let's go and take a look. I hope to find a place with a river and flat land to live." The southern wilderness's water resources are very rich. Mountain springs and streams are everywhere, so there isn't a situation where beasts gather by the water. As long as they don't go into the water, it's relatively safe. Then let's go. Qi Xiao valued her brother's opinion greatly, because he was her only relative. As long as Jiang Xuan's ideas weren't too absurd, she wouldn't argue. The group walked in the direction of the water sound. The untraveled path was difficult to walk. After about an hour, they finally found the source of the flowing water. Splashing. It was a river about 20 meters wide, not very fast in flow. The water was very clear, and there were many fish swimming in it. Along the riverbank grew large expanses of reeds, about 3 to 4 meters tall, very lush. Jiang Xuan stood on a huge rock, looking at the gently flowing river in front, and exclaimed excitedly, "This is the river I've been looking for." 10-year-old Nan Xing curiously asked, "Xian, why are you looking for a river?" Jiang Xuan gave a mysterious smile. "You'll know in the future." Nan Xing felt a little perplexed, but since Jiang Xuan didn't explain, there was nothing he could do. Qi Xiao stood beside Jiang Xuan and asked, "Xian, do you want to live here?" For Qi Xiao, where they lived wasn't important as long as Jiang Xuan was happy. After all, he was her only brother. Jiang Xuan looked around from the big rock, shaking his head. "There's not much flat land here. We can't live here. Let's follow the riverbank and keep looking." Qi Xiao didn't know why Jiang Xuan insisted on finding large expanses of flat land, but she respected his choice. "All right, let's walk a bit further ahead." The five didn't approach the riverbank because the reeds were too tall and dense, making it difficult to walk, and there might be fearsome predators hidden inside. They couldn't take that risk. They continued walking in the forest, with Jiang Xuan occasionally climbing a tree or standing on a high place to look around, searching for a suitable living place. They walked for another half a day, and it was now afternoon. If they didn't find a suitable place by then, they would have to find a place to spend the night. When they crossed a hillside, the scene suddenly opened up before them. A vast open area lay ahead, where the river took a turn and continued rushing forward. Jiang Xuan glanced around, and his eyes lit up instantly. This was a good place. Go Tung, observing his surroundings, suddenly saw something and exclaimed while pointing in one direction, "Look over there." Jiang Xuan followed Go Tung's direction and saw something unforgettable. At the end of the open space stood a stone mountain, hundreds of meters high, with steep slopes and cliffs on all sides. An ancient vine, its age unknown, with a notably thick trunk, climbed along the mountain and wrapped around the entire stone mountain like a dragon coiling a pillar. "Oh my God, it's enormous." Everyone was shocked. The ancient vine was larger than any they had ever seen before. While in shock, Jiang Xuan carefully surveyed the surroundings. He found that not only was there a river, bay, and forest here, but at the foot of the stone mountain, there was also a bamboo forest. A small stream flowed out from within the bamboo forest, winding its way through a large flat area and finally converging into the river. This was simply the perfect dwelling place. Jiang Xuan excitedly exclaimed, "This is the place I've been looking for." Qi Xiao came to her senses and asked, "Xian, do you want to live here?" Jiang Xuan nodded and pointed to the bamboo forest at the foot of the stone mountain. "Let's settle by the stream at the edge of that bamboo forest. Then let's go. Let's move quickly. It's getting late." Qi Xiao took the lead. Jiang Xuan immediately followed, and Go Tung, Shi Qiu, and Nan Xing followed closely behind. The ancient vine was too awe-inspiring, much like a deity. Living at the foot of the stone mountain should surely receive protection from the gods, right? The tribe people revered deities and believed that sincere faith would grant them their protection. There was no path on the ground. The five of them pushed through thorns and undergrowth, and after more than an hour, they finally reached the bamboo forest at the foot of the stone mountain. The lush bamboo blocked the sunlight, and underneath the bamboo forest, there were few brambles and weeds, making it visually pleasant. Jiang Xuan found the little stream by the sound of the water. He chose a relatively flat area beside the stream and said to Qi Xiao, "Let's live here." Qi Xiao looked at him and said, "You like it here, so we'll live here. But for now, with nightfall approaching, let's set up a temporary shelter and make a fire. Otherwise, it'll be troublesome if beasts come at night. All right, Jiang Xuan said to the three youths, let's gather some bamboo to make a temporary bamboo shelter, and let my sister start fire. Qi Xiao had no objections, and the three youths had no complaints either, immediately starting to work. There were plenty of dry bamboos in the bamboo forest. Once bamboo dried out, insects quickly infested it, causing it to decay and fall over. Jiang Xuan, Go Tong, and Shi Qiu pulled the fallen bamboos one by one to the selected spot near the stream. Fresh bamboos were tough. Without a machete, it would take a lot of effort and a long time to cut them down. Collecting the fallen dry bamboo was much easier. After pulling the dried bamboo to the designated location, Jiang Xuan found some sturdy vines and began constructing the bamboo shelter. He chose living bamboo for support, horizontal tied or relatively intact bamboo between two poles a person height as a beam. Then he propped other dried bamboo on the beam, tying them with vines, and broke off extra branches to form a simple, sloped bamboo shelter. They covered the top of the bamboo shelter with lots of moss, dry grass, and bamboo leaves to guard against the night rain. Jiang Xuan, along with the three youths, spent about an hour in constructing the bamboo shelter. By then, the sun had set, and Qi Xiao had found a dry pine tree and a relatively hard deadwood and used the fire plow method to start a bonfire. She then cleared away the dead leaves and branches around the bonfire to prevent the fire from spreading and accidentally setting the bamboo forest on fire. Finally, she moved many stones from the stream side to encircle the fire pit, making it much safer. As for firewood, there was no need to worry about it in the bamboo forest full of dry bamboo, the best firewood. Night finally fell, and the five of them sat in their simple bamboo shelter, watching the flickering bonfire, eating wild fruits they had picked on the way. Their hearts were slightly settled. At least they wouldn't have to keep running around tomorrow. Crack! After being burned, the bamboo inside the fire pit expanded quickly due to the air inside its joints, causing it to explode with a loud noise. This sound frightened away wildlife and birds nearby. It was the most primal firecracker and a tribal method to fend off beast attacks during the night. Chapter 5. Catching Crabs. The next morning, the sound of birds chirping and insects buzzing woke Jiang Xuan from his dream. He opened his sleepy eyes and found that the others were awake too, so he greeted them and went to the creek to wash his face. The creek water was very clear and shallow, with finger-sized fish swimming back and forth in the water. After sleeping the whole night, Jiang Xuan was very hungry, and everything looked like food to him. However, these little fish were very slippery, and catching them wasn't easy unless you spent a long time making a fish trap. Splash, splash. Jiang Xuan washed his face with the cold creek water and immediately felt much more awake. He suddenly thought that the creek didn't only have fish, but also some animals that were easier to catch. Like crabs. It was autumn at the time, the season when crab meat was fat and delicious. Thinking about the delicious taste of crabs, Jiang Xuan's eyes lit up, and he immediately picked up a stick and started searching among the rocks by the creek. The rocks were large, scattered on both sides of the creek. Jiang Xuan knew that crabs liked to hide under rocks, and if he saw a crab, he could use the stick to poke them out. Qi Xiao walked over curiously and asked, "Xuan, what are you doing?" "Looking for crabs." "What are crabs?" Qi Xiao was somewhat puzzled. The people of the deer tribe primarily hunted in the forest, occasionally eating fish, but they usually only speared fish by the creek and never went into the water, so they naturally didn't recognize crabs. Just at this moment, Jiang Xuan poked his stick under one large rock and disturbed a big crab, which immediately ran out from under the rock, trying to escape in a panic. Jiang Xuan quickly pressed its shell with the stick, reached from behind the crab, grabbed its four side legs, and lifted the large crab up. Catching crabs requires skill. Its two large pincers are very formidable, but can only pinch things in front. It has no way to pinch anything to the sides or behind. This is it. Jiang Xuan felt thrilled because this crab was as big as a soup bowl and quite hefty. In his previous life, such a big crab would be considered a rare item. Is this a crab? It looks fierce. Can you eat it? Qi Xiao picked up a stick and placed it on the crab's pincers. With a snap, the stick was neatly clipped in half. Of course, you can eat it. Once, an uncle from the tribe took me to catch crabs by the water, and we could roast them. To make Qi Xiao believe that crabs were edible, Jiang Xuan had to tell a little lie. Qi Xiao nodded without doubting Jiang Xuan's words and didn't ask further about who took him. Go Tung, Shi Qiu, and Nanxing also came over. They looked at Jiang Xuan holding such a big crab with one hand, faces full of admiration. Go Tung said, "Xuan, you're so awesome." Shi Qiu nodded vigorously. This prey called a crab looked really fierce, yet Jiang Xuan caught it so easily. Nanxing was even more eager to try. "Xuan, can I hold it?" "Of course, but be careful not to get pinched." Nanxing glanced at the stick broken in two and quickly nodded like a pecking chick. "Don't reach for its front. Grab from the back or side. Yes, just like this." Nanxing followed Jiang Xuan's instructions and picked up the crab. The crab's huge pincers waved left and right, but couldn't reach his hand. Nanxing laughed happily. "Let me hold it. I want to try." Go Tung and Shi Qiu both took turns to feel what it was like to catch the big crab, finding it particularly novel. Jiang Xuan said, "Crabs like to hide under creek rocks. You can look for them too, but it's best to have a stick. When you see a crab, use the stick to press it so you don't get pinched. Catch a few more, and we'll get a good meal, then have enough strength to build a shelter." "All right, let's go too." Qi Xiao, Go Tung, Shi Qiu, and Nanxing each found a stick and then imitated Jiang Xuan's way and started poking the big rocks by the creek. In this place, human presence is rare, and these crabs have never been caught before. Not only are they large, but their numbers are also astonishingly high. Before long, they had caught a dozen large crabs. Jiang Xuan used flexible thin vines to tie the crabs together, forming a large string. Interestingly, as long as there are two or more crabs gathered together, they would use their pincers to clamp onto each other's pincers or legs and would not easily let go. This makes it extremely difficult for them to escape. Jiang Xuan and the others joyfully carried the big crabs back to the bamboo shelter. Qi Xiao pointed at the big crabs and asked, "Xuan, how do we eat crabs?" Go Tung and the other three also looked at Jiang Xuan, feeling as if the hard shells all over the crabs made it impossible to start. "It's simple. Just throw them in the fire pit to roast them." Jiang Xuan was confident about roasting crabs because he had done it many times in his past life. Jiang Xuan first stoked the fire, then cleared a space in the middle of the fire pit, threw all the large crabs in, and continued adding firewood. The flames burned fiercely, and before long, under the high temperatures, the crab's shells slowly turned from green-gray to an appetite-arousing red. However, the crabs might have parasites inside, and given their size, Jiang Xuan had to ensure they were fully cooked before eating. Jiang Xuan used a stick to push the charcoal over these crabs, covering them up. After a long while, the crab shells turned black from the heat, but did not become charcoal. The crab meat inside remained intact. Jiang Xuan confirmed they were fully cooked, and then pulled the crabs out from the charcoal. Jiang Xuan said, "Sister, lend me your stone knife." Qi Xiao pulled the stone knife from her waist and handed it to Jiang Xuan. Jiang Xuan first set the largest crab aside, letting it cool slightly, then twisted off its pincers and legs one by one and set them aside. Then he used the stone knife to pry open and cut off the curved belly of the big crab, as it couldn't be eaten. Next, he used the stone knife to pry open the crab shell, remove the crab's stomach, heart, gills, and intestines one by one, explaining that these should not be eaten as they might be poisonous. Upon hearing the possibility of poisoning, the four became nervous and firmly remembered the parts of the crab that shouldn't be eaten. "All right, the rest can be eaten." The large crabs emitted steam, their crab roe full, crab meat white and fragrant. Jiang Xuan scooped the crab roe into the crab shell and then shaved a bamboo strip, handing it to Qi Xiao. "Sister, try it first." Qi Xiao took the crab shell, used the bamboo strip to pick up some crab roe, and put it into her mouth. The delicious taste blossomed on her taste buds, making her eyes shine. "Delicious!" Qi Xiao exclaimed and then began to eat. causing Go Tongue and the others to drool. Jiang Xuan laughed. The meat is also very tasty. He cut open the large crab, distributing crab meat to Go Tongue, Shi Qiu, and Nan Xing, who were swallowing their saliva on the side. After eating the crab meat, the three were eager to swallow their tongues. They had never tasted such a delicious flavor. Then, Jiang Xuan used stones to crack open the big pincers and crab legs, extracting the crab meat from inside to eat. For the remaining crabs, Jiang Xuan let Qi Xiao and Go Tongue and the others take turns to work on them, while he guided from the side. After decomposing several crabs, Qi Xiao and the three boys thoroughly remembered the crab decomposition procedure and could accurately pick out the inedible parts. After decomposing the large crabs, they didn't care about crab roe or crab meat. They directly gnawed at them. Whatever they couldn't reach, they smashed open with rocks, eating quickly. Before long, more than a dozen large crabs were eaten up. Go Tongue cracked open the last crab pincer and stuffed the crab meat into his mouth with relish. It tastes good, but there's too much shell and not enough meat. I didn't even get full before it was gone. Everyone nodded. Indeed, there was too little crab meat. Jiang Xuan laughed and said, "This thing isn't meant to be a staple food anyway. Let's eat something else. If you eat too many crabs in one day, you'll get a stomachache." Go Tongue and the others felt it was a pity that such a delicious thing couldn't be eaten more. However, they didn't dare to risk stomach pain to catch more crabs to eat, so they had to wait until next time. For now, the few of them ate some wild fruit and plant roots to fill their stomachs, and then began working on building a house. The bamboo shelter was too simple. To live here long term, they must build a house that could truly protect against wind and rain. Chapter 6: Building a Bamboo House. Building a house is quite a large project, especially when constructing stone or wooden houses. Just moving stones or cutting trees requires a considerable amount of time. Jiang Xuan did not intend to spend so much time. He planned to adapt to local conditions and build a bamboo house. Bamboo usually grows very tall and straight, is relatively light in weight, and durable, making it suitable for building houses. The only issue was how to cut it down. Bamboo is incredibly hard, and without iron tools, bringing it down is not an easy task. However, this didn't pose a problem for Jiang Xuan. He had seen someone using fire to burn through bamboo, a method that was time-saving and labor-saving. Jiang Xuan said to Go Tongue, "Pile all the bamboo leaves and branches around the base of the bamboo. Then light a fire to burn through it, but be very careful not to set the entire bamboo forest on fire." Go Tongue nodded. "Don't worry, we'll be careful." Okay, let's start then. Each person is responsible for a fire pile. Jiang Xuan chose a relatively large clearing in the bamboo grove, then gathered the thick bamboo leaves and dead bamboo on the ground to the base of a bamboo. Qi Xiao brought over a burning piece of bamboo from the pile in the bamboo shed to ignite the bamboo leaves and dead bamboo Jiang Xuan had accumulated. Crackle, crackle! The flames quickly blazed up, and under the high temperature, the surface of the bamboo soon oozed a lot of oil and steam, making a hissing sound. Qi Xiao squatted beside Jiang Xuan, also collecting dead bamboo and leaves to burn a bamboo. She occasionally looked at Jiang Xuan. She realized that this brother seemed different from before, always coming up with some odd methods. Maybe the destruction of their tribe had stimulated him, causing him to grow. Qi Xiao didn't think much of it. Jiang Xuan's growth was a good thing. Bamboo is hollow and flammable. Even when green, it can quickly be burned through. After burning through the two bamboos, Jiang Xuan moved the fire pile to the base of adjacent bamboos to continue burning. Rustle, rustle! Jiang Xuan struggled to pull down the burnt bamboo. The bamboo forest was dense, with branches and leaves intertwined between bamboos, requiring quite a bit of strength to pull it down. "Let me do it." Qi Xiao walked over, took the bamboo from Jiang Xuan's arms, and forcefully yanked the two bamboos down, dragging them to the clearing outside the bamboo grove. For this, Jiang Xuan could only sigh again. Women from primitive tribes were just too fierce. With the efforts of the five, it took half a day to burn down dozens of neighboring bamboo, clearing a space within the bamboo forest. This space was rectangular, about 6 to 7 meters long and 4 to 5 meters wide, with dense bamboo growth around it. In the center of the clearing, Jiang Xuan had deliberately left 3 rows of bamboo in a straight line to be used as pillars for the bamboo house. If he were to dig holes and put up pillars himself, it would be time-consuming and labor-intensive without handy tools and not necessarily stable. Live bamboo did not have these issues, as they were deeply rooted and very stable. After the bamboo house was built, they only needed to burn off the outer skin of the live bamboo at the root, and it would naturally wither and die. There were still quite a few protruding bamboo stumps on the ground, so Jiang Xuan had everyone continue burning them until all the stumps were removed, leveling the ground. Next, it was time to start building the bamboo house. Jiang Xuan's idea was simple. He would leave live bamboo to serve as pillars in all the places where columns were needed in the middle and around the bamboo house. Then, he only needed to trim the branches and leaves off the burnt bamboo and burn them to the required length. Utilizing the live bamboo as pillars, vines would be used to tie the crossbeams needed for the roof onto them. Then, using the burnt bamboo to form a triangular roof structure, which is convenient for drainage. After constructing the roof, they needed to climb up using stones to cut off the excess portions of the live bamboo with a stone knife or stone axe and burn off the root's outer skin. Finally, the roof covered with bark and bundled dried grass. Then, complete the walls and doors on all sides. This way of making a bamboo house was not only sturdy, but also saved a significant amount of time and effort. The construction of the bamboo house began immediately after clearing the space. During the construction period, Qi Xiao would take some time every day to venture deep into the bamboo forest or to the forests on either side of Stone Mountain to set up hunting traps. This place hadn't likely been visited before, with plenty of prey, allowing Qi Xiao to catch something every day, like muntjac, wild boars, pheasants, bamboo partridges, and mountain rats. With a decent supply of meat, the 5 of them were full of energy, spending a full 10 days to complete the bamboo house. Finally, it's built. Standing inside the bamboo house he had built himself, Jiang Xuan didn't know why, but tears welled up in his eyes. A house is not just a place to eat and sleep. It brings a sense of security. Without a house, one doesn't know where to go tomorrow, like a rootless duckweed. From now on, this will be our home. Jiang Xuan announced this to everyone while pointing at the bamboo house. Qi Xiao, Go Tung, and the others were equally excited. With a house, they could sleep soundly at night without standing guard every night in fear. However, the bamboo house was empty inside and still needed furniture to fill it. First, they needed to make some beds, as Jiang Xuan did not want to sleep on the cold, damp ground all the time. The material for making beds would, of course, still be bamboo. Jiang Xuan led the group to burn down dozens more bamboos in front of the bamboo house, not only clearing a space before the door, but also providing bamboo to make various pieces of furniture. He burnt the bamboos to similar lengths, then tied them into bamboo rafts with vines, forming simple bedboards. Subsequently, Jiang Xuan specifically found some thick bamboos, tying them horizontally under the bedboard so that the boards could be elevated away from the cold, damp ground. With the efforts of the 5, they made 5 such beds, allowing each to have one. This made them very happy, especially Qi Xiao, who, being the only girl besides Jiang Xuan, didn't want to sleep next to anyone else. Over these days, a large amount of wood ash and bamboo charcoal was produced, which Jiang Xuan used to sprinkle generously around the spots where the beds would go inside the bamboo house, serving as insect repellent and moisture absorption. Afterward, he moved the 5 single beds into the bamboo house. Due to the limited space inside, the 4 boys' bamboo beds were placed on the left side, lined up together, while Qi Xiao's bed was placed separately on the right side. Jiang Xuan and the others laid out a lot of dry grass on the beds, followed by a thick layer of bamboo leaves, and then topped with a layer of soft moss, making it much more comfortable without poking them while sleeping. Finally, Jiang Xuan used a lot of bamboo as screens to create a partitioned room for Qi Xiao, giving her a private room to sleep in. This made Qi Xiao very happy. After all, who wouldn't want their own private space? After sorting out the beds, Jiang Xuan and the others moved a pile of relatively flat stones from the creek's side, forming a hearth in the center of the house. Once the hearth was lit, this new bamboo house came to life. As for other furniture, including pots, pans, and utensils, they would gradually add and improve those in the future. Once everything was completed, everyone finally breathed a sigh of relief. At night, Jiang Xuan lay on the bamboo bed, looking at the closed door and the flames burning in the hearth, feeling at ease for the first time. Things would only get better from now on, and with this thought in mind, Jiang Xuan, wearing a smile, drifted into dreamland. Chapter 7: Making Bone Plow. The house was built. Now storing food became the top priority. It was autumn, with plenty of wild fruits and vegetables on the mountains, and lots of prey. Naturally, no worries about food. However, Jiang Xuan knew from memories that the southern wilderness would experience snowfall. Once winter arrives, with heavy snow sealing the mountains, finding food would become extremely difficult then. If food for winter wasn't prepared in advance, they would face the risk of starvation. Therefore, it was crucial to stockpile enough food in advance to withstand the impending harsh winter. Jiang Xuan thought for a long time, focusing on digging plant roots and fishing. Root vegetables are long-lasting, and fish can be kept in a pond until winter, eliminating worries about spoilage once it snows. Most importantly, these two types of food are relatively easy to obtain and plentiful. To dig plant roots and ponds, a suitable digging tool must be made. Otherwise, using wooden sticks and hand would take forever. Jiang Xuan carefully thought it over and decided to make 2 bone plows. The bone plow, resembling a shovel, is used specifically by the tribe for digging soil. The materials needed to make a bone plow include the scapula of an ungulate animal, a sharp stone for drilling holes, a straight wooden pole, and string for secure binding. These materials are not difficult to obtain. A few days ago, a snare set by Qi Xiao caught a green muntjac, resembling a deer but with short antlers. The meat was eaten, but the bones, including 2 wide scapulas, were left. The scapula of ungulate animals is roughly triangular, naturally shaped like a shovel, and is the tribe's preferred beast bone for making bone plows. Jiang Xuan found the 2 scapulas and took them to the creek to grind them smooth with a coarse stone. Scrape, scrape, scrape. Beside the creek, Jiang Xuan was vigorously grinding a scapula, occasionally pouring some water from a bamboo tube to rinse off the bone powder. "Xuan, why are you grinding beast bones?" Qi Xiao curiously approached Jiang Xuan and asked. "To make a bone plow. You know how to make a bone plow?" Qi Xiao looked at him in surprise. "I've seen people in the tribe make it before, and I want to try. If successful, it will make digging traps and wild vegetables much easier in the future." As Jiang Xuan spoke, he continued grinding. Beast bones are quite hard, and it takes a lot of time and effort to grind them smooth. Seeing another scapula beside Jiang Xuan, Qi Xiao picked it up and said, "I'll help you grind this one." "All right." Jiang Xuan didn't refuse. Grinding the 2 scapulas alone would have likely taken him all day. With Qi Xiao's help, the time needed could be cut in half. "Xuan will help too." Go Tung, Shi Qiu, and Nanxing also came over, one in hand. Jiang Xuan said, "Nanxing, help me twist some ropes, using bark. They need to be thin but strong." "Okay, I'll get on it right away." Nanxing immediately went to find suitable thin bark to twist into ropes, a task kids in the tribe often did since childhood, though not complicated. 10-year-olds often wanted to show their skills and were eager to help others. Jiang Xuan then spoke to Go Tung and Shi Qiu. "Go chop down 2 small trees for me, the kind used for making stone spears, with trunks about the thickness of 3 fingers." "All right, we'll chop them now." Outside the bamboo grove were many shrubs, some very sturdy, suitable for spears, and also for making bone plow handles. Go Tung and Shi Qiu found some sharp-edged stones by the creek and went to chop trees. With everyone's efforts, by midday, all the materials for the 2 bone plows were ready. The scapulas were smooth, the wider end thinned and sharpened, and 4 holes drilled in the middle with sharp stones, 2 on each side, for threading ropes to secure the wooden pole. Nanxing had finished twisting the bark ropes, which Jiang Xuan was quite pleased with. The two straight small trees were cut down, and Go Tung and Shi had peeled the bark and scraped the surfaces flat with stones to form handles. Everything was ready, and now it was up to Jiang Xuan. Could he succeed? Qi Xiao and the three young ones were all eager to see. Let's start. Jiang Xuan carried all the materials into the bamboo house, rubbing his hands excitedly before starting to make the bone plows. The two poles should ideally be dried in the shade before use to prevent cracking or warping, but that would take over a month, which Jiang Xuan couldn't wait for. He placed the poles over the fire pit, using the flames to dry them quickly. As the fire burned the poles, moisture evaporated quickly and carbonized the surface. Once the pole surfaces were slightly scorched, Jiang Xuan removed them from the fire pit, giving them a quick glance, then straightening any slight bends while still warm. Once the poles cooled, they were mostly set and wouldn't deform easily again. Next, Jiang Xuan used sharp-edged stones to flatten one end of each pole's bottom for better adherence to the smooth scapula, while cutting 2 grooves in the other side for securing ropes. Without grooves, the ropes would shift and loosen easily with a bit of force when using the bone plow. After preparing the poles, Jiang Xuan aligned the flat end with the scapula, continuing to trim uneven spots until they fit perfectly together. Then he threaded the prepared skinny ropes through the drilled scapula holes, wrapping them around the pole grooves, tightly binding layer by layer. With each turn, the 2 rope strands crossed until the ropes were tied off, tightly securing the pole to the scapula. It's done. Jiang Xuan swung the bone plow a few times, feeling it was very handy, filling him with a sense of accomplishment. Xuan, you're amazing. You can do anything. Go Tung, Shi, and Nanxing gazed at Jiang Xuan with admiration. Building a bamboo house, making a bamboo bed, and now a bone plow. Jiang Xuan truly was extraordinary. Jiang Xuan was also quite pleased internally, but modestly said, "It's all thanks to everyone's help. I couldn't have done it alone." That's not right. Qi Xiao frowned slightly. She felt something was missing in Jiang Xuan's bone plow. What's wrong? Jiang Xuan swallowed his pride and asked in surprise. Qi Xiao pointed a few inches above where the scapula met the pole. Here, it needs a horizontal short wooden rod. I remember the bone plow can be stepped on with the feet for leverage. Jiang Xuan suddenly recalled. Indeed, that was the case, and embarrassingly stated, "I forgot the horizontal rod. Thanks for the reminder, sister. I'll add it now." The ends of the small trees Go Tung and Shi chopped were still there. Jiang Xuan used a sharp stone to cut 2 sections, each about 20 centimeters long. He peeled, roasted, and aligned the short rods with the poles, trimming for fit, making grooves, then tightly binding them together with skinny ropes. After finishing, Jiang Xuan checked it once, then handed the bone plow to Qi Xiao. "Sister, see if anything's missing now." Qi Xiao placed the bone plow on the ground, stepping on the short rod for leverage, and the bone plow's spade easily cut into the soil as she pressed the long rod, easily prying up a chunk of soil. Qi Xiao smiled with satisfaction. "Xuan, you did great. It's as good as the bone plows I used in the tribe." Receiving his sister's praise, Jiang Xuan finally breathed a sigh of relief, smiling happily. The 3 young ones took turns trying the bone plow, admiring Jiang Xuan even more, for in the tribe, tool-making was usually done by adult warriors. Having learned from making the first bone plow, Jiang Xuan smoothly completed the second one. With these 2 bone plows, Jiang Xuan could finally embark on his next plan, fishing. Chapter 8. Fishing Traps. In front of the Stone Mountain bamboo forest lies a vast expanse of flatland, slightly lower in terrain, wet and filled with water, particularly where the creek flows, growing mostly shrubs and wild grasses, with fewer tall trees. Jiang Xuan planned to choose a depression near the creek to dig a pond, to test a fishing method he had in mind. "Sister, will you come with me to set a trap? The world here is too dangerous." Even being not far from the bamboo forest, Jiang Xuan decided to bring Qi Xiao along as an extra insurance for his little life. "What kind of trap?" Qi Xiao asked curiously. "A fishing trap. Is it possible to use traps for fishing?" Qi Xiao was a bit surprised. The people of the deer tribe also eat fish because the southern wilderness is very rich in water resources. With mountain springs and streams everywhere, fish are abundant, and the tribe's people won't miss any opportunity for meat. However, they usually just smash with sticks, catch with bare hands, or use long spears to fish in the stream, without even a spear for fishing. As for deeper waters, like small rivers, they avoid them. Because in the past, many people went into the water and were directly dragged into the water by terrifying big fish, unable to be saved. You'll understand once you come with me. As they say, seeing is believing. Jiang Xuan didn't explain too much. All right, I'll go with you. Qi Shao trusted Jiang Xuan very much because he was her younger brother, and besides, Jiang Xuan had proven his abilities by building bamboo houses and making bone plows. I want to go too. Gotung quickly grabbed another bone plow. I can help you dig the trap. I'm very strong, and I dig very fast. And me, if we encounter beasts, I can help hunt them. Shurchio immediately brought along his bamboo bow and bone spear, as he did not want to stay in a bamboo house. The youngest, Nanxing, hugged his wooden spear and looked at Jiang Xuan eagerly. You're all going, you can't just leave me behind, right? What if a beast breaks in? I'm so small. Jiang Xuan sighed helplessly. All right, everyone goes. Upon Jiang Xuan's response, the three youths immediately beamed with joy, each carrying their own weapons, ready to head out. Since everyone's going out, no one will be there to watch the fire pit, so put a few big logs so we won't have to start the fire again when we get back. Behind the bamboo forest is Stone Mountain with forests on both sides. Since dry bamboo doesn't burn well, they've picked up plenty of dry trees and stacked them under the eaves for firewood. Qi Shao brought 2 large sections of dry trees from outside the bamboo house and put them into the fire pit. These logs burn slowly and can last a long time. After securing the door, Jiang Xuan carried a bone plow, brought a bamboo tube, and then headed out with the others. Chirp, 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 chirping, chirping. The 5 of them walked along the creek, with the sounds of birds chirping and insects chirping in their ears. It had been some time since autumn began, and the plants were gradually turning yellow. This must be the insects' last hurrah. The further they walked down, the flatter the terrain became, and the creek got deeper, with the fish swimming in the water growing larger in size. Qi Shao clutched her short spear, listening carefully to the surroundings. As the only warrior in the group who had joined the hunting team, she knew that one must never let down their guard, no matter the place. When the creek seemed very deep, Jiang Xuan stopped walking. At this point, they were over 200 meters from the bamboo house. Don't underestimate these 200 meters. In a place dense with vegetation, opening up a path through the shrubs and wild grasses over 200 meters is no easy task. Of course, after they walked this path a few more times, flattening down or even clearing away the vegetation along the way, the path would become much easier. Jiang Xuan surveyed the surroundings, finally choosing a low-lying area beside the creek with sparse wild grasses, and said, "Let's dig here." "All right, I'll handle these grasses first." Gotung swung the bone plow, sweeping the wild grass on the depression and using the bone plow to hoe out each plant, making the work much easier. The movement stirred by Gotung scared away the fish in the creek, hiding for the time being. But there's no need to worry, as once the commotion dies down, they'll reappear. Jiang Xuan and Gotung used the bone plow to clear the grass. Qi Shao used a stone knife. Shurchio used the bone spear. Nanxing used the wooden spear, all working hard to clear away the grass. After a short while, most of the larger wild grasses on the ground were cleared away. Gotung, not feeling tired at all, enthusiastically asked, "Xuan, what do we do next?" "Dig a pool about this big. Don't need to dig too deep." Jiang Xuan used the bone plow to draw a circular area on the ground, approximately 2 meters in diameter. "All right, let's get started." All 5 then used their own tools and eagerly began digging up the soil. Jiang Xuan and Gotung dug the fastest because they had bone plows. Just stepping on the crossbar of the bone plow with 1 foot, the bone plow easily penetrated into the moist soil and then levering it up, lifting a large chunk of soil. With the efforts of all five, an hour later, they had dug out a pool approximately 2 meters in diameter and about 40 centimeters deep, roughly circular in shape. During the course of digging, they also unearthed many fat earthworms, about dozens, all of which Jiang Xuan collected in the bamboo tube he brought along. Next, let in the creek water to fill up this pool. The newly dug pool is less than half a meter from the creek. Jiang Xuan used the bone plow to dig a roughly 20 centimeters wide inlet, and the creek water gushed into the pool, quickly filling it. Jiang Xuan then found a stick and pounded the earthworms in the bamboo tube until they were smashed, then stuffed a few stones into the tube. Finally, he placed the bamboo tube in the center of the newly dug pool. Because of the stones and the water filling it, the bamboo tube quickly sank to the bottom. All right, let's rest nearby for a while. Jiang Xuan washed his hands and cleaned the bone plow, then went to sit on a nearby rock. Is that it? Qi Xiao and the 3 teenagers were confused, wondering if digging a pit, filling it with water, and adding mashed worms was really supposed to be a fish trap. Jiang Xuan explained with a smile. Fishing is different from hunting. The wild animals on the mountain have legs and can run around, but most fish don't have legs and can only move where there's water. They can't come ashore. Pointing to the newly dug pool, Jiang Xuan said, "This pool is connected to the stream, and the worms in the pool are bait. To make the scent of the worms spread faster in the water, I deliberately mash them. The fish in the stream will smell the scent of the worms and swim through the inlet into the pool we dug. Once the fish enter, we just need to move a large stone to block the inlet, and the fish inside can't get out. By then, in such a small pool with shallow water, we just need to stir the water, and it will be easy to catch the fish." After hearing Jiang Xuan's explanation, the 4 were dumbfounded. They felt Jiang Xuan made sense, but didn't dare to believe it, because it seemed too simple. Skeptically, they rested in the grass nearby, occasionally glancing at the pool. As time passed and the surroundings quieted down, the hidden fish quickly started swimming around in the stream again. Before long, some fish with keen senses smelled the worm's scent. They followed the direction of the scent and swam straight into the pool, circling the bamboo tube, trying to get the food inside. The fish really went in. Go Tung, who had been watching the area, stood up excitedly, lowering his voice to avoid scaring the fish away. Qi Xiao, Shi Qiu, and Nanxing also stood up to look and found quite a number of fish had entered the pool, both big and small. This made them finally believe that Jiang Xuan's fish trap was indeed effective. Qi Xiao softly asked Jiang Xuan, "Should we block the inlet now?" Jiang Xuan glanced at the fish in the pool and said, "The big fish haven't come in yet. Let's wait a bit. These fish won't leave before the worm scent disappears since they can't reach the worms." Okay. They waited patiently, and sure enough, after a while, a few large fish swam into the pool through the inlet. Jiang Xuan estimated their weight based on their size. Each of these big fish should weigh about 15 pounds. "Sister, go block the inlet." As soon as Jiang Xuan finished his words, the eager Qi Xiao darted over, picked up a large stone beside the stream, and with his splash, directly blocked the inlet. To be extra safe, she picked some smaller stones to fill the gaps. Splash, splash. The fish in the pool panicked, swimming quickly, trying to escape, but the pool was so small, where could they go? Jiang Xuan and the 3 teenagers immediately rushed over, excited to catch the fish. However, at that moment, 2 fish suddenly leaped from the water, spreading their wing-like fins and flapping a few meters away, landing in the stream with a splash, disappearing in the blink of an eye. This happened so quickly that even Qi Xiao didn't react because she had never seen such winged fish. How are there flying fish? Holding the bone plow, Jiang Xuan was stunned. The fish that nearly landed in their mouths just flew away. The others were also dumbfounded. If it weren't for their fear of water, the 3 teenagers would have jumped in to grab the fish back. Qi Xiao, holding a short spear, comforted, "It's all right, there are still plenty of fish here, and with me watching, they can't run away." Jiang Xuan nodded. "I'll stir the water first. When the fish heads float up, seize the chance to knock them out." Qi Xiao and the three teenagers were ready, determined not to let these fish escape again. Jiang Xuan plunged the bone plow into the water, stirring vigorously. Soon the water in the pool became very muddy, and the fish couldn't withstand it, floating to the surface before long. Quick, knock them out before bringing them ashore. Jiang Xuan seized the moment, using the broad bone plow to strike a large fish on the head. The fish struggled violently a few times, then turned belly up and floated. Jiang Xuan quickly scooped this fish ashore and continued to knock out the other fish. Qi Xiao and the three teenagers also got to work, and soon enough, except for a few small fish, a dozen or so fish in the pool were knocked out or killed and brought ashore. Not a bad catch. Jiang Xuan looked at the pile of large and small fish on the ground, feeling very pleased. The fish trap was very effective, and his approach was correct. Moreover, this fish trap could be used continuously, making it a one-time effort for long-term rewards. The only pity was that the two flying fish got away. Let's go. Time to roast the fish. Jiang Xuan removed the stones blocking the inlet so more fish could enter. He then found 2 vines to string the fish together, with Go Tung each carrying a string, taking them back to the bamboo hut. With a bountiful harvest, everyone felt very good and walked much more briskly on their way back. Chapter 9. Grilling Fish and Digging Ponds. Crack! Jiang Xuan picked up a suitable black pebble from the creek and sharply struck it against a large rock. The pebble split open with a crisp sound, and Jiang Xuan picked up a thin stone fragment with an extremely sharp edge. Then, he untied a large fish from the vine, using the stone fragment to scale the fish and remove its gills, gutting it open. So much fish oil. The fish in the autumn were fat, with quite a lot of fish oil in their bellies. Jiang Xuan was delighted. The wild animals on the mountain mostly had lean meat with very little fat. For the tribe members, animal fat was a valuable commodity, more desirable than lean meat. He tore off the fish oil bit by bit and stored it in a bamboo tube, also keeping the fish swim bladder while discarding the rest. The fish swim bladder, or fish bubble, when dried and boiled, yields fish swim bladder glue, a highly adhesive bonding agent. Qi Xiao and Go Tung also found sharp stone pieces and helped to clean fish. Once all the fish were prepared, Jiang Xuan obtained over a pound of fish oil and a dozen or so swim bladders of varying sizes. As for the fish offal, Jiang Xuan instructed Qi Xiao to put it all in a bamboo tube and pour it into the pool they had dug earlier to attract more fish. After finishing, Jiang Xuan and the others cleaned all the fish and brought them back to the bamboo hut to roast. Actually, they couldn't eat that much fish in one meal, because these dozen fish weighed at least 50 or 60 pounds in total. But it couldn't be helped. If they didn't roast all the fish in the autumn weather, they would start to rot in just one day and night. Inside the bamboo hut, above the fire pit, there's a thick bamboo beam, not very high, reachable by stretching out one's arm. On the bamboo beam hung a dozen woven ropes, each tied with loops capable of connecting other ropes, used for hanging uneaten meat. The fire pit's flames burn incessantly, day and night, with high temperatures and smoke constantly smoking the meat hanging on the beam. This prevents mosquitoes from coming close, inhibits bacterial growth, and gradually dries the meat, thereby prolonging its preservation time. This method was not invented by Jiang Xuan, but has been a customary practice of the deer tribe, reflecting their survival experience and wisdom. If not for this method, without salt, fresh meat would not last long. Leave 2 to eat later, hang the rest up. Jiang Xuan and Go Tung, along with a few others, tied each fish with loops hanging from the beam and suspended them high above the fire pit to be smoked. 2 of the fish were skewered with wooden sticks and roasted beside the fire pit for eating. As for the dozen swim bladders, Jiang Xuan found a thin vine and hung them on the wall of the bamboo hut for future use. Jiang Xuan added some wood to the fire pit, making it burn fiercely, the firelight illuminating the fish and the faces of 5 people. Surrounding the fire pit are large stones. Jiang Xuan placed the skewered fish on 2 opposing stones, occasionally turning the fish without having to hold them continuously. Although the fish had been cleaned, they still retained a faint fishy smell. The fishy smell, Jiang Xuan seemed to remember something. Don't roast the fish yet. I need to step out. Jiang Xuan moved the fish aside, stood up, picked up the bone plow, and walked outside, with Qi Xiao quickly following, fearing Jiang Xuan might walk far and encounter danger. Xuan, where are you going? I'm going to find some spices. Where's spices? Qi Xiao asked, puzzled. You'll know soon. Jiang Xuan walked into the forest beside the bamboo grove. Not far ahead, spotting a plant with yellowing leaf edges. He went over, tried to pull it out, but failed. So he used the bone plow to dig it out along with the underground root, spreading a pungent smell as the plant's fine roots snapped. This was wild ginger, commonly found in the forests of the southern wilderness. There were several nearby, but Jiang Xuan did not dig for more. Qi Xiao looked at the wild ginger Jiang Xuan dug up. This is an herb that could detoxify. Why did you dig this up? Tribe members used many herbs, and wild ginger, commonly found in the mountains, was one of them. I heard from Deer Tribe people that this herb can not only detoxify, but also remove fishy smell, making roasted meat more fragrant. I want to try using it for roasting fish. Jiang Xuan shamelessly attributed to the Deer Tribe people, knowing no one could verify it. Is that so? I never heard of it. Qi Xiao was half convinced, but didn't probe further. It wasn't her nature to dig in. We'll know after trying. Jiang Xuan returned with the bone plow and wild ginger, while Qi Xiao thought there would be no harm in trying. Back outside the bamboo hut, Jiang Xuan set down the bone plow and cleaned the wild ginger beside the creek, snapping off the stems and leaves and using a sharp stone fragment to slice it into pieces. Back inside the bamboo hut, Jiang Xuan divided the wild ginger into two halves and put them inside the stomachs of the two roasting fish, then used a thin vine to simply sew the fish bellies, preventing ginger slices from falling out. Jiang Xuan placed another large stone on the edge of the fire pit, with two fish on it, pulling some glowing charcoals from the fire pit's center to directly roast the fish. Open flames would scorch the fish, but charcoal is gentler, making it less likely for the fish to burn. The time passed slowly. As the charcoal roasted the fish, a meat aroma gradually wafted out, along with a faint wild ginger smell. The fish surface was gradually becoming golden brown, with the fragrance filling the bamboo hut. Chapter 10. Grilling Fish and Digging Ponds too. It's ready to eat. Jiang Xuan placed two grilled fish on a clean stone slab, then used chopsticks to pick a piece of fish meat from the back, blew on it, and put it into his mouth. While building the bamboo house, he had made several pairs of chopsticks from bamboo, but unfortunately, except for himself and Qi Xiao, the others like Go Tung prefer to use their hands to eat directly. The fish had been grilled for quite a while, making it fairly dry, and the rich meat flavor was complemented by the fresh aroma of wild ginger. This native freshwater fish had an excellent taste and texture, even with just two slices of wild ginger. It was delicious. Tastes good, everyone try it. Jiang Xuan continued to eat while encouraging others to try. Qi Xiao also picked up a pair of chopsticks. She wasn't accustomed to using them, but Jiang Xuan liked them, so she tried to get used to them so he wouldn't feel alone. Qi Xiao awkwardly used the chopsticks to pick up a piece of fish, supporting it with her hand, afraid it would fall. When she put the fish in her mouth and chewed a few times, she nodded in satisfaction, her eyes narrowing into crescents because of her smile. With that herb, it definitely tastes better than before. Qi Xiao fully approved of Jiang Xuan's method of stuffing wild ginger into the fish to grill it. Hot, hot, hot! Go Tung, Shi Qiu, and Nanxing directly tore the fish meat with their hands, exclaiming at the heat, blowing on it, and stuffing it into their mouths. Delicious! Xian, your grilled fish is amazing. I want more. The three quickly finished a large fish. The fish didn't have many small bones, and because Jiang Xuan grilled it dry, even though they ate quickly, no one got a bone stuck. After eating two large fish, the five of them still wanted more, so they skewered the leftover fish oil on small sticks, roasted them over the charcoal, and then ate them. The texture of the fish oil wasn't great, but no one minded, as long as it was edible. After finishing, Jiang Xuan thought that if they could make a pot of fish soup, it would be great. Eating grilled food all the time can become tiresome. However, making soup requires a pot, and without a pot, at least a pottery jar would suffice. Pottery jar, Jiang Xuan mumbled, eyes lighting up. Why not make some pottery? Qi Xiao, who heard his words, exclaimed in surprise. Xian, you know how to make pottery? How much did you learn in the tribe? Qi Xiao always felt a sense of disbelief that her younger brother was so capable, and how she hadn't noticed before. In the deer tribe, some could make pottery. Although it was the most primitive and simple earthenware, it was still pottery with its basic functions and characteristics. Jiang Xuan bashfully said, I just watched them do it, and whether I can succeed, I can only find out by trying. Qi Xiao nodded and said, Then give it a try, Xian. I believe in you. This place is resource-rich, and now, with a method of fishing, combined with hunting and digging plant roots, storing enough food for winter for 5 people isn't particularly difficult. With fewer people and more resources, the survival pressure here was much lesser than in the deer tribe. All right, I'll give it my best shot. To be able to drink meat soup, Jiang Xuan decided to attempt pottery making. Actually, making pottery is not complicated. You just need to choose the right clay, repeatedly beat, knead, shape, and dry it, then fire it at high temperatures. If they tried multiple times and learned from their experiences, they should be able to succeed. By the small stream, there was clay, the kind that was white in color and very fine, perfect material for making pottery jars. However, before making pottery, there was a more urgent task, digging a pond. Since the fishing traps worked, they'd surely catch a lot of fish in the future. They couldn't just hang them all up to smoke, right? What a huge fire pit that would need. The best method was to dig a pond and raise these fish, grabbing them to eat when needed. No need to bother with preservation, and small fish could grow bigger. Early the next morning, Jiang Xuan got up, took down 2 half-smoked fish from above the fire pit, and grilled them for a hearty meal for everyone before starting to prepare the tools for digging the pond. As the saying goes, to do a good job, one must first sharpen their tools. Good tools can significantly improve work efficiency. With Qi Xiao and others' help, Jiang Xuan spent an entire day creating 3 more bone plows, adding to the previous 2, making 5 in total, enough for each person to have one. Then they spent another day weaving 3 wicker baskets of different sizes from vines for transporting the excavated soil. On the 3rd day, they finally began digging the pond. Jiang Xuan chose a relatively level spot near the stream in front of the bamboo forest. After clearing the grass and shrubs, the 5 of them used the bone plows to dig, piling the dug earth with the wicker baskets to build pond embankments. Because the tools were primitive, it took them 8 full days to complete a pond 6 meters long, 4 meters wide, and half a meter deep, a task exhausting beyond outsiders' comprehension. Jiang Xuan spent another day coating the pond's embankments with wet mud to prevent leaks. After sealing the embankments, Jiang Xuan inserted a small fence woven from branches at the outlet so the fish wouldn't escape. After everything was done, Jiang Xuan dug a channel to lead stream water into the pond. Gurgle, gurgle. The stream water flowed in, slowly filling the pond. Jiang Xuan and the others stood by the pond, watching the water level rise, hearts filled with a sense of achievement. Xian, with the pond dug, will we have endless fish to eat in the future? Nanxing asked dreamily. Jiang Xuan smiled and said, Yes, one day, we'll have endless fish to eat. Great! Nanxing immediately laughed with joy, and Go Tung and Shi Qiu were laughing too. Qi Xiao looked at Jiang Xuan and said, I hope that day comes soon so everyone doesn't have to worry about hunger anymore. Jiang Xuan nodded, believing that with hard work, that day would come eventually. After the pond was dug, they no longer hit the fish caught by the traps. They used wicker baskets to scoop up fish from the pool, then put the live fish back into the pond using beast-hide bags for stocking. A few days later, the newly dug pond was no longer empty, filled with fish swimming around. However, they quickly discovered a new problem. Carnivorous fish frequently bit the herbivorous fish. Even the larger herbivorous ones were often injured or even killed. Helplessly, Jiang Xuan had to drain the pond and build another embankment in the middle to separate carnivorous from herbivorous fish. Though the carnivorous fish still bit each other, at least the herbivorous fish could survive, and they only needed to throw in some aquatic plants daily for food. Chapter 11. Firing Pottery. After finishing the matters at the fish pond, Jiang Xuan began excavating clay and making pottery. On this day, he took a vine basket and a bone plow and walked to the creek. First, he used the bone plow to remove the top layer of soil, which contained many impurities, revealing the fine gray-white clay beneath. He dug an entire basket full of clay, then carried it to a flat area by the creek, where he found a relatively flat stone slab and placed a clump of clay on it, repeatedly pounding and kneading it. Thump, thump, thump. Clay is sticky, much like dough. The more it's pounded, the stickier it becomes, and its surface becomes smoother. Next, Jiang Xuan used a bamboo strip to cut the pounded clay into strips, rolled them into clay cords, and manually molded a round base for a pottery jar. Then, he started making the pottery piece. First, he dabbed some water onto the base and began attaching the clay cords to it, one after another, stacking them to form the shape of a pottery jar. Soon, a rough pottery jar with a diameter of over 20 centimeters and a height of over 30 centimeters took shape. After the rough piece took shape, it wasn't very smooth, so Jiang Xuan sprinkled a little water on the surface, trying to make it smoother. Finally, he made a matching lid for the pottery jar, with a handle molded on the lid. Qi Xiao, watching from the side, curiously asked after Jiang Xuan finished the lid, "Can it be fired into a pottery jar, just like this?" She actually wanted to say that it seemed too easy, but she didn't voice it. Go Teng, Shi Qiu, and Nanxing were also watching Jiang Xuan, feeling that the pottery-making process looked simple enough that anyone could do it. Jiang Xuan replied, "This is just the initial molding. Afterward, it needs to be placed in a cool place for 7 to 8 days to naturally air dry. Then, a soil kiln needs to be built to fire the dry pottery piece for a whole day. Once cooled, pieces that didn't crack can be considered real pottery." Qi Xiao and the three teenagers listened in confusion. They didn't understand terms like air dry, soil kiln, and cooling. The three teenagers, who just thought anyone could do it, immediately put aside their dismissive attitude. Qi Xiao wasn't surprised. If pottery were that easy to make, the deer tribe's pottery wouldn't be so rare. In reality, Qi Xiao didn't know that the deer tribe, along with many other tribes, found pottery valuable because they used random clay without specifically searching for pottery clay, nor did they go through the air-drying process. Moreover, they didn't build specialized soil kilns, and the temperature and time for firing pottery lacked standards, relying on trial and error, which resulted in a very low success rate for finished pottery, making it naturally valuable. In contrast, Jiang Xuan's memories from his previous life are the crystallization of continuous improvement and recorded wisdom from countless generations, ensuring a much higher success rate in pottery making. Ultimately, Jiang Xuan made 2 thick pottery jar rough pieces, 2 pottery basin rough pieces, and 10 pottery bowl rough pieces, placing them all in the corner of the bamboo house to air dry. The reason for placing them in the bamboo house is that during air drying, they should best avoid wind and intense light, allowing natural evaporation of moisture for natural drying, reducing deformation of the pottery pieces. This step is crucial. If the pottery piece is not sufficiently dried, the water vapor contained within it will expand during firing, causing the pottery to crack. After handling these pottery pieces, more than half a day had passed. Qi Xiao and the 3 teenagers watched for a while before going off to hunt, fish, and dig plant tubers. With winter approaching, storing food is more important. Jiang Xuan ate a bit of fish and then roasted 2 pieces of polygonatum to eat. Polygonatum is also one of the herbs used by tribal people, widely distributed in the southern wilderness mountain ranges. Unlike the spicy taste of wild ginger, roasted polygonatum has a slightly sweet taste and can be used to satisfy hunger. Tribal people often dig it up for food. After eating polygonatum, Jiang Xuan opened a bamboo tube containing a jar of solidified animal blood. He added some water to the bamboo tube, stirred it with a bamboo strip, and placed the bamboo tube over the charcoal fire to roast. The green bamboo tube turned charred black, and the animal blood mixed with water was boiled to a bubbling point. Jiang Xuan opened the bamboo tube and gradually ate the animal blood inside. Due to the lack of salt, consuming a lot of mammal meat and animal blood becomes an important way to supplement salt. Qi Xiao and the others could drink blood directly when hunting without changing expressions, but Jiang Xuan found it hard to accept, so he used the bamboo tube with water method, boiling the blood before eating it, which was easier to accept. After eating his fill, Jiang Xuan went to dig clay again, this time to build a soil kiln. Ordinary soil can actually be used to build a soil kiln, but it easily cracks during firing. Jiang Xuan wanted to use the kiln long-term, so he decided to use clay for construction. There are several methods to build a soil kiln. Jiang Xuan chose the horizontal flame kiln, which is simple to build and can fire multiple pieces of pottery at once. At the front of the horizontal flame kiln is the stove mouth, the middle is the hearth, and the rear end has a vertical cylindrical vent at a 90-degree angle. When the stove mouth is lit, heated air flows upwards, passing through the long hearth and is expelled through the cylindrical vent, similar to rural earth stove principles, but with a long rectangular lower section. Jiang Xuan selected a relatively flat area in the open space beside the bamboo house, cleaned the ground thoroughly, and then dug plenty of clay by the creek and transported it using the vine basket. Chapter 12. Firing Pottery. Next, he piled the clay into a mound, poured some water into the center using a bamboo tube, and then stomped it continuously with his feet. The clay, after being trampled, became much more adhesive and resilient. Once the clay was evenly trampled, he began constructing the kiln. The process of building the kiln was simple. First, he built a shaped mud wall, about half a meter high. Then he laid dense wooden sticks on top and sealed it with clay to form the top. At the end of the U-shaped mud wall, he left an opening and constructed a cylindrical vent, with the end of the vent about twice the height of the main body of the earth kiln. When completed, it essentially looked like this. Finally, because the furnace chamber of the earth kiln was relatively long, placing the ceramic blanks and retrieving finished pottery was inconvenient. It was necessary to cut a semicircular opening on the side of the earth kiln. This opening would be sealed again with mud after placing the ceramic blanks, and opened again after the pottery was fired. When the earth kiln was finished, the sun was about to set. Jiang Xuan washed his hands, took another look at the horizontal flame kiln he had built, felt there was no problem, and returned to the bamboo house satisfied. Qi Xiao, Go Tung, Shi Qiu, and Nanxing had already returned. Today, they'd caught some fish, trapped a few bamboo chickens, and dug up a good amount of edible taro, polygonatum, and mountain yam. In the next 7 days, Jiang Xuan and Qi Xiao and others went hunting, fishing, and digging plant tubers every day, storing food for winter. During this period, they occasionally caught some larger prey. The meat of these animals could be eaten or hung above the fire pit to dry. Their pelts were skinned, stretched out, and dried, used for making warm beast hide clothing and beast hide mats. After 7 days, the ceramic blanks were air-dried, and the earth kiln was nearly dried from the sun and wind exposure. Jiang Xuan immediately opened the kiln, ready to fire pottery. He carried half the ceramic blanks beside the earth kiln, turned them upside down through the side opening, and placed them one by one into the furnace chamber of the earth kiln, then sealed the side opening with mud. He gathered a large amount of dried bamboo and firewood, piled them beside the earth kiln, took a fire source from the bamboo house's fire pit, and began firing the kiln. Crackling. Inside the earth kiln, flames quickly ignited, burning fiercely. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At the cylindrical vent, the flames' tails rose and fell, as if there's a blower beneath. Next comes the patient waiting. Jiang Xuan guarded the fire, while Qi Xiao and others occasionally came curiously to take a look. He watched over it from day to night, until the moon was high in the sky. Then he stopped tending the fire and went back to sleep. The temperature inside the earth kiln remained high and would take a whole night to slowly decrease. That night, Jiang Xuan had a beautiful dream. He dreamed that he had created a great tribe with a population of over 10,000, abundant resources, and a happy life. The next morning, Jiang Xuan eagerly came to the earth kiln, touched it. The furnace wall was still warm. Time to open the kiln. Jiang Xuan excitedly rubbed his hands, and Qi Xiao and others also ran over, waiting for Jiang Xuan to open the kiln. Jiang Xuan used a sharp stick to open the side opening of the earth kiln again, revealing pieces of pottery that had been fired into brick red. The first thing he took out was the heavy pottery jar, which had no cracks and included a perfectly intact lid. The firing was very successful. Clang, clang, clang. Jiang Xuan tapped the side of the pottery jar with a stick, and the jar emitted a crisp sound. The firing was great. We can use this pottery jar to make soup in the future. Jiang Xuan laughed. His biggest purpose for firing pottery was to make soup, and now that purpose was achieved. Let me see. Qi Xiao took the pottery jar from Jiang Xuan's hand. It felt very heavy. Even though it wasn't very smooth, it was real pottery. Xuan, you're amazing. You succeeded in one try. Qi Xiao carefully placed the pottery jar on the ground, sincerely praising Jiang Xuan. Go Teng, Shi Qiu, and Nanxing all gazed at Jiang Xuan with admiration. Jiang Xuan then took out a pottery basin and 5 pottery bowls from the furnace chamber. The pottery basin was also successfully fired. However, of the 5 pottery bowls, 2 were cracked, and only 3 were intact. Jiang Xuan handed the 3 pottery bowls to the 3 youths, saying, "The pottery jar is for cooking soup, the pottery basin is for holding dishes, and each of you can have one of the pottery bowls." Really? Xuan, you're so good. Wonderful, we have pottery now. The 3 youths excitedly held their pottery bowls, overwhelmed with excitement, almost wishing to kiss Jiang Xuan. Based on this firing experience, Jiang Xuan speculated that the thicker pottery might be easier to successfully fire, as it was less likely to crack. Conversely, thinner pottery like bowls was more prone to cracking, so out of 5 bowls, only 3 were successfully fired. The success of the first batch of pottery gave Jiang Xuan great confidence. He brought out the other half of the ceramic blanks from the bamboo house, placed them in the earth kiln, sealed it, and fired it again. This time was smoother. After a day, he got another pottery jar, a pottery basin for pottery bowls, with only 1 pottery bowl cracked. With pottery, Jiang Xuan no longer had to eat grilled food every day. He used the new pottery jar to cook a pot of fish soup, and when he drank the steaming fish soup, he was almost moved to tears, feeling a sense of happiness. He had never imagined before that a bowl of hot soup could bring such happiness. After firing the pottery, Jiang Xuan spent a few more days building 2 small bamboo houses, one by the stream to the left of the bamboo house for bathing. The other was built to the right of the bamboo house, a little further away. He dug a pit inside, set up a bamboo grid, and made a dry toilet. Bathing and using the toilet are very personal things. Jiang Xuan's soul from the modern world made it impossible for him to be as uninhibited as Go Teng and the others. Qi Xiao first accepted the bathroom and toilet. She liked this independent space. The 3 youths also had no objection. Through these days of interaction, they had come to admire Jiang Xuan. As long as Jiang Xuan built something, they instinctively believed it was good and were willing to try it. They even started to slowly accept chopsticks because with pottery bowls, only chopsticks could pick hot dishes into their cherished pottery bowls. With his efforts, Jiang Xuan continuously improved his life in this world and influenced those around him. Busy days always pass quickly. In the blink of an eye, autumn passed and winter came, and snowflakes began to fall from the sky. During the autumn, they caught many prey, and some had thicker pelts. After drying and scraping off fat, these could be made into beast hide clothing for warmth. At Jiang Xuan's suggestion, they added a lot of plant ash to the water, then soaked the dried beast hide in it for 3 days and nights. After washing and drying the hides again, they were pleasantly surprised to find that the hides soaked with plant ash water were much softer than any beast hide clothing they'd worn before. This discovery made them very happy, and they even took their old beast hide clothing for another soak, because if beast hide clothing was too stiff, it was prone to letting in the wind and wasn't warm enough. This winter, they had houses, a fire pit, food, and soft beast hide clothing to wear. They could even drink steaming meat soup. This was much better than when they were in the deer tribe. The snow fell heavier and heavier, quickly turning the ground into a vast expanse of white. Most animals hid in their burrows to endure the winter. After the snow, Jiang Xuan and others spent most of their time in the bamboo house because it was too cold outside. Their food and firewood were well stocked, so there was no need to go out and suffer. Chapter 13: Establishing the Tribe. Peaceful days always pass quickly. Spring arrived in the blink of an eye. Warm sunshine once again bathed the earth, and the ice and snow quickly melted away. Creak! The door of the bamboo house was pushed open, and Jiang Xuan, dressed in beast-hide clothing, wearing beast-hide pants and beast-hide boots on his feet, walked out of the bamboo house. These beast-hide clothing, pants, and boots were all made by them during the long winter. They first cut the soaked beast hides into the shapes of clothes, pants, and shoes, then used sharp stones to drill a row of small holes in the hides, and finally used fine ropes twisted from tree bark to sew the hides together. Although the workmanship is quite rough and not very pretty, it is warm. Swish! Behind the bamboo house, many bent-over bamboo trees dropped ice shards downward with the melting snow, and then slowly straightened back up. When a heavy snow fell, most of the bamboo trees were bowed down. Fortunately, Jiang Xuan had cleared the bamboo in front and behind the house for making the bamboo house, bamboo bed, bathroom, and toilet. Otherwise, the weight of the icy bamboo tails may have been too much for the bamboo house to bear. The feeling of sunshine is really nice. Jiang Xuan basked in the sun, stretched lazily, having been cooped up in the bamboo house all winter. Although he didn't worry about food and drink, he felt quite stifled. Qi Xiao and others also came out. They were dressed just like Jiang Xuan, wearing beast-hide clothing, pants, and shoes. Qi Xiao said, "Winter is over, and we can go hunting again." Goading added, "We can fish too." Shi Qiu said, "Dig a pond." Nanxing said, "I want to take a walk up the mountain." Nanxing's words sparked a long-held idea within Jiang Xuan's heart. He looked back towards the towering stone mountain behind the bamboo grove and a massive ancient vine winding around it. "Actually, I want to climb up to the top of Stone Mountain along the ancient vine to take a look." As soon as he said this, the four turned their gaze to Jiang Xuan, and from their expressions, it was clear they were somewhat intrigued. Seeing this, Jiang Xuan said, "How about we wait until the snow melts and climb up together for a look?" The four almost didn't hesitate and nodded in agreement. The people of the tribe have a spirit of adventure, and climbing Stone Mountain and Ancient Vine is very appealing to them. They're also very eager to climb up to see what the landscape around this forest is like. The Stone Mountain is so high that the snow on top melts slowly, so they estimate that climbing up will take 2 to 3 days. Jiang Xuan moved around the area near the bamboo house, then went back inside, found a suitable bamboo tube, and used a sharp stone to carve the character 1 at the top. Today is the first day of the new year, with the ice and snow beginning to melt. I don't know how this world runs, so I'll record it like my previous life for now. From now on, I'll carve a number on the bamboo tube each day for 31 days, marking the first month, and keep carving until the next day of ice melting to mark a year. Jiang Xuan didn't want to live his life in a muddled way. He needed to make himself a calendar. He even planned to carve in the seasonal nodes, like the first rainfall of the year to be the water season, the first thunder to be the awakening of insects, and so on. This matter is important, at least Jiang Xuan thinks so. With a sense of time, one can arrange things more appropriately. After carving, Jiang Xuan solemnly placed this bamboo tube and stone beside his bed. He planned to carve a number each day, observe daily, and make certain adjustments based on actual conditions later, so that the calendar would better suit this world. 3 days later, with the sun shining brightly, the ice and snow completely melted away, streams flowed again, and birds and beasts in the mountains became active again. Jiang Xuan and the others prepared ropes, dried meat, and personal weapons, and with excited hearts, moved through the bamboo grove to the foot of Stone Mountain. Towering, perilous Stone Mountain, and imposing, massive ancient vine. The main trunk of the ancient vine was like a sky-reaching giant tree, with huge, sprawling branches almost covering the entire Stone Mountain. Anyone who sees the ancient vine would be awestruck by it. Jiang Xuan tied a strong tree bark rope around his waist, with one end attached to a wooden hook. While climbing, he could hook the wooden hook onto vines for a safety measure. The others also had similar ropes and wooden hooks. Jiang Xuan looked up at Stone Mountain, an ancient vine, and said, "Be careful when going up. Always keep the hook attached to sturdy vines and climb slowly, prioritizing safety." Qi Xiao and the others nodded in agreement. They wouldn't risk their lives carelessly. "Let's go." Jiang Xuan was the first to climb up along the ancient vine. The main trunk of the ancient vine was very large, and with branches spread across the whole Stone Mountain. As long as they held onto the vines and didn't look down, it was relatively easy to climb up. Go Tung, Nanxing, and Shiqiu followed behind Jiang Xuan, while Qi Xiao was at the back, ready to find a way to save them if those ahead encountered danger. The Stone Mountain was several hundred meters high and extremely steep. Without the ancient vine, few could climb it. The climbing process went smoothly without any accidents. The mountain was covered in vines, offering constant places to grip, and the vast ancient vine provided a smooth ascent. 3 hours later, Jiang Xuan and the others reached the top of Stone Mountain. Jiang Xuan stood at the summit, holding onto the branches of the ancient vine, and gazed downward. It was noon, and a sprawling expanse of undulating green mountains stretched out, while various birds occasionally circled in the sky, creating a spectacular view. Standing at the summit gave one the feeling of having the earth beneath them, easily stirring pride and ambition. Jiang Xuan turned to Qi Xiao and said, "Sister, do you remember what I said?" "What did you say?" Qi Xiao was unsure which statement Jiang Xuan was referring to. "Back then, while we were fleeing, you asked, without a tribe, what would we do in the future?" Jiang Xuan articulated each word clearly. "I said, worst case, we'll build a new tribe." Qi Xiao looked at Jiang Xuan in astonishment. "So you mean?" Jiang Xuan nodded affirmatively, then turned to Go Tung, Shiqiu, and Nanxing. "Are you willing to establish a new tribe with me?" Go Tung responded incredulously. Just the 5 of us. Can we really start a tribe?" Jiang Xuan replied, "Right now, it's just the 5 of us, but I promise, in the future, we'll have more members." Qi Xiao, Go Tung, and Shiqiu were struck by Jiang Xuan's words, momentarily unsure how to respond. "Xuan, I'm willing to found a new tribe with you." Nanxing, the youngest, agreed first. He didn't need to think too much, knowing he felt good by Jiang Xuan's side. Shiqiu and Go Tung exchanged looks, hesitated briefly, and finally nodded together. "We're willing to." Jiang Xuan then looked at Qi Xiao. "Sister, they've all agreed. What about you?" Qi Xiao's expression was somewhat complex. She had turned 14 after winter and had grown more mature. To her, a 5-person tribe seemed like a child's play. But after experiencing so much, she held an unexplainable trust in Jiang Xuan. Perhaps this small tribe could truly thrive in the future. In the end, she too nodded. Qi Xiao asked, "Since it's a new tribe, we need a name. What should we call our tribe?" Jiang Xuan looked into the distance, then down at the ancient vine on the Stone Mountain, pondered for a moment, and said, "Ever since we arrived here, everything has gone smoothly. We haven't even encountered fierce beasts. I think we must be under the protection of the ancient vine." Jiang Xuan caressed the branches of the ancient vine. "So, our new tribe will be called the Vine Tribe. From now on, this ancient vine will be our tribe's guardian god. Every tribe has its guardian god, also known as the totem god, which is a crucial spiritual anchor for the tribal members. It's said the tribe's totem god possesses divine abilities that protect the tribe's people. Deer Tribe's totem god used to have many legends. No one knows how many years this ancient vine has been growing. It's immensely vast, leaving an extremely deep impression on anyone who sees it, and easily regarded as a deity. Since Jiang Xuan decided to establish a new tribe here, what could be more suitable as the totem god than this ancient vine? Qi Xiao said, "All right, let's call ourselves the Vine Tribe. Xuan, you be the leader of the tribe." Before Jiang Xuan could answer, Qi Xiao asked the 3 young people, "Do you agree for Xuan to be the tribe leader?" "Agree, agree, agree." The three youths were already in admiration of Jiang Xuan, and since he proposed founding the new tribe, how could they disagree? Qi Shao smiled and said to Jiang Xuan, "Xuan, everyone has agreed." Jiang Xuan was silently moved. Strength-wise, Qi Shao was more suitable as a leader, yet she firmly gave it to him without refusal. Jiang Xuan nodded solemnly. "Okay, from now on, I will be the leader of the Vine tribe, and I will do my utmost to grow and strengthen our Vine tribe." Everyone laughed, beginning to envision the day the tribe would thrive. After staying atop Stone Mountain for half an hour, they climbed back down along the ancient vine, returning to the ground. Jiang Xuan stood before the ancient vine, carefully carved a pattern onto a large stone beside him. He carved a simplified, miniaturized version of the ancient vine. From now on, this pattern will be the totem pattern of our Vine tribe. Jiang Xuan announced this significant matter, urging everyone to memorize the totem pattern, as it would be carved onto every domain of the Vine tribe in the future. He found some moist brown soil at the foot of Stone Mountain and meticulously painted the new totem pattern onto Qi Shao and the others' faces. He asked Qi Shao to paint the totem pattern on his own face. Once the totem patterns were painted, Jiang Xuan, dressed in beast-hide clothing, stood before the ancient vine, leading everyone in a heartfelt prayer to the tribe's totem god, asking the vine god to protect this new tribe. For some reason, after completing this simple ritual, all five could distinctly feel that their once drifting hearts gradually settled down. Perhaps this was the benefit of having a spiritual anchor. Chapter 14. Ancient Vine Revival. After returning from Stone Mountain, Jiang Xuan solemnly carved the Vine tribe's totem pattern onto a huge stone in front of his bamboo house and found some colored stones, which he crushed and mixed with water to make paint, coloring the totem pattern. Although the totem pattern looked a bit like children's graffiti due to his limited drawing skills, Jiang Xuan didn't care much. Totem patterns are the symbols of a tribe. As long as the tribe develops strong enough, no matter how ugly its totem pattern is, no one will dare to underestimate it. For example, people from large tribes only need to paint their tribe's totem pattern on their faces or belongings, and when they are outside, other tribes won't dare to provoke them easily. After finishing the totem pattern, Jiang Xuan began preparing for the first sacrificial ceremony. As a newly established tribe, the first sacrificial ceremony is extremely important, even if there are only 5 of them. The ceremony must be conducted properly, because Jiang Xuan knew very well that through a series of rituals like building altars, performing sacrifices, and painting totem patterns, the tribe's recognition and cohesion could be enhanced. Although the Vine tribe currently has only 5 members, Jiang Xuan would still complete the entire ritual. He led Qi Shao and others to build a round altar with yellow mud at the foot of Stone Mountain, with a stairway in front of the altar. The altar's base had a diameter of about 2 meters, a height of about 1 meter, and the top had a diameter of about 1.5 meters, very small and very simple. But Jiang Xuan still seriously carved the Vine tribe's totem pattern around the altar, including the top. With the totem pattern, the altar felt a bit more sacred. Afterward, they started hunting in the woods and fishing in the streams to prepare offerings for the sacrifice. 3 days later, the weather became increasingly warmer, the wild grass on the ground began to grow, and the foliage in the mountains began to bud. Even the ancient vine had many new buds on its branches, looking vibrant and lively. The first year of the Vine tribe's establishment, January 15th, the first sacrificial ceremony officially began. The yellow mud altar had dried. Jiang Xuan and the other 4 carried the offerings up the stairs to the altar and arranged them. The offerings were a wild goat, a wild chicken, and a large fish weighing over 20 pounds, all alive and tied with rope. All 5 had taken baths in advance, wore their best beast-hide clothing, and painted the Vine tribe's totem pattern on their faces, looking rather decent. The sacrificial ceremony typically requires a witch to preside. It is said that only a witch can communicate with the totem god and recite those ancient blessings. But the Vine tribe only had 5 people in total, and there was no witch's legacy, so Jiang Xuan had to improvise. Jiang Xuan recalled the deer tribe's sacrificial ceremony, then took a very sharp stone knife and bled the wild goat, wild chicken, and fish on the altar. Blood flowed onto the new yellow mud altar, soaking part of the totem pattern. Jiang Xuan stepped down from the altar, put away the stone knife, and since he couldn't recite blessings, he could only say plain words. Facing the ancient vine, Jiang Xuan thought for a while and began to say words of blessing. After the vine god enjoys the offerings, bless the vine tribe with flourishing livestock and abundant grain, and keep the tribe's people safe. Qi Shao and the three young men were stunned. As many words Jiang Xuan said were ones they'd never heard before. Coupled with the fact they were in the middle of a sacrificial ceremony, they instinctively believed the vine god had manifested, thus bowed even more devoutly. Shriek! Just then, a piercing bird call rang out above the bamboo grove, startling the birds and beasts into hiding. Jiang Xuan looked up to see a huge, fierce bird with glossy black feathers flying towards them, seemingly targeting the offerings on the altar. "Oh no!" Jiang Xuan shouted in shock and instinctively wanted to run, as the bird was so large it appeared like a dark cloud, intimidating all who saw it. It was definitely not a fierce bird they could fend off. At that moment, Stone Mountain suddenly trembled slightly. The ancient vine wrapped around Stone Mountain suddenly emitted dazzling green light. A tender vine quickly grew to over 100 meters long, then whipped toward the fierce bird like lightning. Bang! The fierce bird was hit, letting out a tragic scream, spilling blood in the air as it desperately flapped its wings trying to escape. However, the ancient vine did not intend to let it go. Bang! The 100-meter vine whipped again, shattering the bones of the fierce bird, rendering it unable to fly, and it skewed downward toward the ground. Boom! The massive, fierce bird landed not far from the altar, snapping a cluster of bamboo, struggled a bit, then went still. Jiang Xuan and the others were shocked into speechlessness, barely able to utter a word. The vine god truly manifested. Qi Shao had his mouth wide open. No one had anticipated that the ancient vine could be so terrifying, killing a fierce bird with just 2 strikes. Jiang Xuan was even more scared in retrospect. Just a few days ago, they had climbed Stone Mountain via the ancient vine. Had the ancient vine been murderous then, none of them would have survived. Though he knew from memory that the world had many divine creatures, he hadn't seen one firsthand. In his memory, when the deer tribe was annihilated, their totem god did not intervene, and he didn't know why. He hadn't expected an ancient vine to be so formidable, nor could he tell if it truly wanted to be the vine tribe's totem god, or if the fierce bird simply wanted to snatch its offerings. Jiang Xuan also suddenly understood why no fierce beasts were seen near the bamboo grove. They likely sensed danger instinctively and dare not approach, or were slain by the ancient vine. Swish, swish, swish. Countless roots suddenly sprouted from the ground, some extending to the altar, enveloping the offerings layer upon layer, while others wrapped around the enormous fierce bird, encasing it as well. Jiang Xuan glanced with peripheral vision at those terrifying roots, feeling his back soaked with cold sweat. He had no idea whether the ancient vine agreed to be the totem god. If it hadn't, would it attack them? After all, the ancient vine was too frightening. If it wished to kill them, Jiang Xuan doubted he'd escape. After a long time, the roots retracted back into the ground. Jiang Xuan looked at the altar to see that the prey had been consumed, leaving only hair and fresh skeletons. The fierce bird was likewise reduced to feathers and bones. Too terrifying. Jiang Xuan steeled himself and continued to wait, hoping the ancient vine, considering the offerings, would spare them. At that moment, 5 tender shoots quickly grew from the ancient vine, extending to hover above Jiang Xuan and the others. Vine god! Just as Jiang Xuan thought he was done for, a drop of emerald green liquid dripped from a tender leaf at the vine's tip onto his head, merging directly into his body. In an instant, Jiang Xuan felt a surge of vast power flow into him, filled with rich vitality, nurturing his organs, flesh, and bones. He clearly felt his strength, speed, eyesight, and hearing all rapidly improve. Qi Xiao, Go Tung, Shi Qiu, and Nan Xing experienced the same, each receiving 1 drop of green liquid. After realizing what had happened, Jiang Xuan joyfully kowtowed, exclaiming, "Thank you for the vine god's grace." The others also bowed to thank the ancient vine. None had anticipated that such a modest sacrificial ceremony could bring such benefits. It appeared the ancient vine truly wished to be the vine tribe's totem god. The 5 tender shoots retracted, the green light on the ancient vine gradually faded away, and the ancient vine went silent once again, appearing no different from other vines except for its eyes. If not for the presence of the offerings, fur, and bones, Jiang Xuan might have thought he had dreamt it all. After a long time, Jiang Xuan returned to the bamboo house, still in a dazed state. This world gave him a grand gift for the first time. With the ancient vine's protection, coupled with Jiang Xuan's previous life's knowledge, he was confident the small tribe would eventually thrive. Chapter 15: Pioneering and Farming. The day after the sacrifice, Jiang Xuan tested his strength in front of the bamboo hut. He lifted a very large stone with both hands, slowly stood up, and raised it above his head. This stone weighed at least 300 to 400 pounds. The previous Jiang Xuan wouldn't have been able to even move it, let alone lift it, but now he could raise it above his head without his hands trembling. Boom! Jiang Xuan threw the large stone out, creating a big pit on the ground. Jiang Xuan looked at his hands in immense joy. This was powerful strength. Afterward, he walked into the bamboo forest to test his speed. With a whoosh, he effortlessly climbed a sturdy bamboo tree, then leapt from bamboo to bamboo, as agile as an ape. Moments later, he landed back on the ground and approached Qi Xiao, who was standing to the side. "Sister, with my current strength and speed, what rank of warrior am I?" In the southern wilderness tribes, when a tribe member becomes a warrior, they usually paint lines on their faces with 5 colors to differentiate the strength of warriors, with 1-color warriors being the weakest and 5-color warriors being the strongest. For example, a 1-color warrior uses green paint to draw a horizontal line on their face. A 2-color warrior uses green and red to draw 2 lines on their face. A 3-color warrior draws 3 lines, and so on. The stronger the warrior, the more lines there are on the face, and the more varied the colors. These lines are also a form of honor for the tribal warriors. Those with more lines receive more resources and admiration from the tribe. Jiang Xuan was eager to know, with his current strength and speed, what rank of warrior he was. Qi Xiao seriously said, "You're a 1-color warrior." "Just 1 color?" Jiang Xuan was stunned, clearly not expecting it to be so low. Qi Xiao nodded and said, "Don't underestimate a 1-color warrior. The strongest leader in the deer tribe is just a 3-color warrior." Jiang Xuan then asked, "What about you, sister? What rank warrior are you now?" "I'm also a 1-color warrior." Qi Xiao pointed at Go Tung, Shi Qiu, and Nan Xing, saying the 5 of us are all 1-color warriors. "That's not right," Jiang Xuan asked in confusion. "Didn't you join the hunting team before? I thought you would be much stronger than us." "I'm not much stronger than you." It said that when the deer tribe was strong, only those who became 1-color warriors were eligible to join the hunting team. But in recent years, the deer tribe declined, unable to gather enough warriors, and the requirements kept lowering. Eventually, as long as you were 13 years old and had all limbs intact, you could join the hunting team. I only joined last year, and to my surprise, just 6 months later, the tribe was gone. Speaking of this, Qi Xiao's mood noticeably dampened, and Go Tung and the others were also silent. The fall of the deer tribe was a pain in their hearts. Jiang Xuan said, "Sister, don't worry. Once our vine tribe becomes strong, we'll definitely take revenge on the crow tribe." Qi Xiao nodded heavily, and the 3 youths clenched their fists, the flames of revenge igniting in their hearts. Jiang Xuan asked again, "Then how can one become a 2-color or even a 3-color warrior?" Qi Xiao answered, "I've heard from people in the hunting team that a 1-color warrior only needs strength and speed to be twice as much as ordinary tribesmen. To become a two-color warrior, you need to hunt a full-grown wild boar on your own. A three-color warrior needs to hunt a full-grown wild ox on their own, and a four-color warrior needs to hunt a giant-toothed tiger independently. As for a five-color warrior, they need to hunt a barbarian bear alone. A two-color warrior actually needs to hunt a full-grown wild boar on their own. Jiang Xuan was shocked by Qi Shao's words. In other words, a two-color warrior must at least have more strength and speed than a full-grown wild boar, along with reaction ability and combat skills, to hunt a full-grown wild boar alone. In this world, wild boars are extremely dangerous beasts, with an adult's weight reaching more than 1,000 pounds. Wild boars have sharp tusks, can run extremely fast, have thick fur, and possess a ferocious temperament. Especially when wounded, they are nearly fearless, and most beasts hesitate to approach. Wild boars also like to scratch on pine trees, with their fur coated thickly with pine resin, like wearing soft armor. Ordinary weapons, like stone spears or bone spears, struggle to inflict fatal injury unless they hit the eyes, hindquarters, or other vital areas. The difficulty of hunting a full-grown wild boar alone is imaginable. As for wild oxen, giant-toothed tigers, and barbarian bears, each is more terrifying than the last. Currently, the Vine tribe doesn't have the ability to hunt them. Then how can we increase our strength? Jiang Xuan posed the question again. Training, hunting, eating lots of meat can gradually enhance strength, but I heard that if you can eat the meat of some exotic beasts or consume the fruit of some unique plants, strength can increase relatively quickly. Also, like yesterday, receiving the gift from the gods during rituals can also rapidly enhance strength. Jiang Xuan remembered all these things Qi Shao mentioned, especially those methods to enhance strength. Jiang Xuan knew very well that the stronger he was, the longer his survival chances in this dangerous world, and the longer he lived, the more time he had to develop and strengthen the Vine tribe. After figuring all this out, Jiang Xuan started to busy himself with other matters. It was springtime, the perfect time for spring plowing and planting. Jiang Xuan planned to open up a piece of wasteland in front of the bamboo house to try planting grains and vegetables. Farming and raising livestock are more stable ways to obtain food than hunting and gathering, and they provide more food. Jiang Xuan planned to start with farming, and if things went smoothly, he would later engage in animal husbandry to increase the tribe's food sources. Jiang Xuan went back to the house to carry a bone plow, called Qi Shao and others, and walked to a clearing in front of the bamboo grove. Jiang Xuan said, "Clear out these weeds, and we'll burn them later." "All right, leader, watch us." The three youths had just become one-color warriors and were eager to prove themselves, not afraid of hard work at all. They swung the bone plow with great vigor, cutting all the dried weeds on the clearing at the waist, trampling and stepping on them, pressing them all to the ground. Then, under Jiang Xuan's command, they cleared a fire break all around to prevent the grass from catching fire and spreading to other places. Finally, Jiang Xuan returned to the bamboo house, picked up a burning log, and set the weeds on fire. Crackle, crackle! The flames quickly engulfed it because the weeds were pressed to the ground, and with the fire break already set, there was no strong wind, so as long as they watched carefully, it wouldn't spread elsewhere. "Leader, why are we burning these weeds?" Goting curiously asked. Jiang Xuan replied, "Clearing the land for farming." "Oh, I see." The tribe members also farmed, but they were still in the primitive slash-and-burn stage. They would choose a large area, burn the vegetations, then use the ash as fertilizer, digging random holes with bone plows or other tools to plant the seeds, and basically leave it until harvesting in the fall. This kind of farming had incredibly low yields, but the advantage was that it required little time and effort, as the tribe's food sources still mainly relied on hunting and gathering. Gotong thought Jiang Xuan would adopt this method too, but they soon realized they were wrong. Half an hour later, the weeds and small shrubs on the clearing were completely burnt, leaving a thick layer of ash on the ground. The clearing was about over 100 square meters, neither too big nor too small, and Jiang Xuan planned to cultivate it and plant edible wild or tuberous plants. SSS. Jiang Xuan stepped on the crossbar, easily pressing the shovel of the bone plow into the soil, turning a clod over before continuing to dig another clod. Goding couldn't help but ask again, "Leader, shouldn't we just dig a small hole to bury the seeds after burning?" Jiang Xuan said, "Turning the soil over loosens it, allowing what we plant to grow better and yield more." Gotung still wanted to ask why loosening the soil helped the plants grow better, but Qi Shao gave him a glare, saying, "Stop asking so many questions, just do as the leader says." "Oh." Gotung immediately shut up, as Qi Shao was quite assertive, and the three youths were a little afraid of her. Shiqiu and Nan Xing shrank their necks, obediently following along to clear the land. The land was hard and contained many grass roots, tree roots, and stones, and their bone plow wasn't sharp enough, making this type of work very arduous. Fortunately, the tribe members were inherently strong, and the five of them had just become one-color warriors, with strength much greater than ordinary people, so they were clearing the land at a relatively good pace. After half a day of effort, they finally managed to clear the approximately 100 square meters of wasteland. The grass roots, tree roots, and stones in the wasteland were all cleaned up and piled in a corner of the clearing. Jiang Xuan looked at the newly cultivated farmland, feeling as if some instinct buried deep in his mind had been awakened. He excitedly said, "This is the first piece of farmland of our vine tribe, and there will be a second piece, a third piece, and countless more in the future." Qi Shao and the three youths weren't as excited because, in their impression, farming yielded too little, not as good as hunting and gathering. Jiang Xuan didn't mind, and once crops were planted and a bountiful harvest was achieved on this land, they would understand the benefits of farming. Chapter 16. Cage Vine. The first year of the Vine Tribe's founding, February 5th. Rumble, crackle. In the sky, the first thunder of the year exploded, with thick lightning occasionally tearing through the sky, illuminating the ground. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The strong wind began to blow. From above, the newly grown leaves in the primitive jungle looked like a vast green ocean, surging with waves. Drip, drip. The raindrops began to fall. At first, there were just a few scattered drops, but soon they grew heavier, turning into a curtain of rain, thoroughly washing the earth. Jiang Xuan stood under the eaves of the bamboo house, watching the heavy rain outside, feeling incredibly joyful. The thunder and rain meant that spring had truly arrived. He went back inside and found the bamboo tube used as a calendar, carving the word "Awakening of Insects" next to February 5th. The awakening of insects is a very important solar term. It signifies the stirring of spring thunder, increased rainfall, and gradually warming temperatures. As the saying goes, the spring thunder awakens all insects. After this term, the thunder will awaken all the hibernating animals, including the various insects underground. In the warm and damp, weather provides favorable conditions for spring farming and planting. If it's about planting trees, you start after the awakening of insects. Qi Shao curiously walked over and asked Jiang Xuan, "Xuan, what are you carving?" Jiang Xuan thought for a moment. Being a transmigrator was hard to explain, so to avoid future troubles, he decided to tell Qi Shao a story. "Sister, I'll tell you something, not sure if you'll believe it." "What is it?" "When we were fleeing, I wasn't unconscious." Jiang Xuan said seriously, "Actually, at that time, I had a dream. I dreamt of an old man wearing linen clothes, holding a cane, and his face was painted with very complex patterns." After hearing Jiang Xuan's description, Qi Shao said seriously, "The one you dreamt of is likely a witch from some tribe." As soon as they heard it was about a witch, Gotung, Shiqiu, and Nan Xing all gathered around, listening carefully to Jiang Xuan's story. "In the dream, this old man taught me many things like fishing, farming, taming wild animals, and building houses." Jiang Xuan handed the bamboo tube to Qi Shao and said, "He also taught me a special script that can be used to record things like this, a calendar." Qi Shao looked curiously at the writing on the bamboo tube and asked, "What is a calendar?" Jiang Xuan said, "A calendar is used to keep track of the days. You can also note events next to the dates, like today, with the thunder and the insects coming out, so I marked awakening of insects. Qi Xiao couldn't read the words on the bamboo tube, nor did she know what awakening of insects meant, but she felt a vague sense of admiration. Go Teng, Shi Qiu, and Nan Xing also crowded around to look, sharing the same sense of perplexed admiration. What happened next? Godin couldn't help but ask. Then the old man told me he was actually dead, that his soul would soon dissipate. He taught me so many things in hopes I could pass them on, so he would have no regrets. Since then, I've never dreamt of that old man again, but I remember everything he taught me in the dream. Qi Xiao looked enlightened and said, "So that's why you know so much." To the tribe members, a witch was very mysterious, possessing many incredible abilities. So Qi Xiao and the others didn't doubt Jiang Xuan's words. Jiang Xuan secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Any new things he came up with in the future could be attributed to the old man in the dream, saving him a lot of explanations. Jiang Xuan carefully put the bamboo tube back in place and said to Qi Xiao, "The method of farming was also taught to me by the old man in the dream. He said that if we farmed the way he taught, we could gather more food than by foraging in the wild." Qi Xiao nodded and said, "Then we'll give it a try." Jiang Xuan said, "We've cleared quite a bit of wasteland. We can plant yellow essence, sweet potatoes, and yam. If we find other seeds, we can plant those as well." Since the snow melted, besides hunting and gathering, Jiang Xuan focused mainly on clearing the wasteland, and now they've cleared 7 or 8 acres of land, making the area in front of the bamboo grove more open than before. Also, if anyone spots saplings of wild fruit trees outside, use the bone plow to dig them out with roots and soil carefully and replant them near a tribe. This way, we won't have to go far to pick wild fruits in the future. Qi Xiao said, "You're the leader. We'll follow your lead." The 3 youths all nodded. In the tribe, the leader had the highest authority, and they would do whatever he said. "All right, once the rain stops, we'll climb the mountain." After Jiang Xuan finished speaking, they all waited for the rain to stop. He was eager to plant the newly cleared fields with grains and vegetables. For the journey to the mountain, he crafted several bamboo spears as weapons. The bamboo was many years old and very sturdy. After splitting the bamboo, he selected a bamboo strip about 3 centimeters wide, polished it smooth using stones, sharpened the end, then roasted it with fire to dry the moisture. After being roasted, the spear tip's hardness greatly increased, becoming extremely sharp, able to easily pierce prey, though it had one drawback. Overall, it was relatively soft, but its brilliance overshadowed its flaws. Jiang Xuan sharpened a long bamboo spear and 3 short bamboo spears. The spearheads were all roasted over fire, with a slightly carbonized surface, making them extremely hard and sharp. By noon, the rain stopped. After breakfast, Jiang Xuan and the others took their weapons, vine baskets, beast hide bags, and other things, then carefully painted totem patterns on their faces. The tribe people believe that drawing totem patterns before entering the mountain can bring the protection of the totem god. Once they had prepared everything, Jiang Xuan and the others headed south toward the forest. The sun rose from the little river in the morning, so the direction by the river is east, behind the Stone Mountain Ancient Vine is west. The direction where the deer tribe originally was is north, and the direction on the right side of the bamboo forest is south. The north is a place of sadness, so they prefer to go to the forest in the south. In the morning, it rained, making the jungle ground very damp. Fortunately, there were plenty of dry branches and fallen leaves, preventing the ground from becoming overly muddy. The air carried the fresh scent of grass and wood, mixed with the smell of rotting branches and leaves after the rain, creating the distinct aroma of the primitive forest. Once inside the forest, the 5 of them focused all their attention, eyes constantly watching the ground and the trees for anything unusual, ears constantly listening to the sounds around. Jiang Xuan held a bamboo spear in his hand, carrying a vine basket on his back that contained 3 short bamboo spears. He felt somewhat nervous, yet excited, not knowing what he might encounter in the jungle. Gore, gore! From within a fallen, enormous rotting tree came the sound of wood being sawed. Jiang Xuan walked over and used his bamboo spear to lift the tree bark, revealing a large white worm, which had already bitten through the tree, exposing its head. This worm's body was about the size of a teacup, with a pincer's brown head, sporting a pair of large black pincers capable of easily chewing through wood. Equivalent-level worms have 4 times the protein content of beef. Jiang Xuan murmured softly and then pierced the worm's head with his bamboo spear before tossing it into the vine basket. Various types of insects in the jungle, as long as they're edible, are almost standard food for the tribe people. They are numerous, large, relatively easy to catch, and taste quite good after roasting. Not only Jiang Xuan, but Qi Xiao and Go Tung and others, upon finding edible insects, would kill them first and take them away. They continued forward, seeing many birds and beasts along the way. As the weather warmed, all sorts of animals emerged, making the jungle both dangerous and lively. Jiang Xuan was walking and suddenly stepped on some brown vines spreading across the ground. These vines formed a grid, looking rather strange. Jiang Xuan felt a bit curious as he stepped on them, finding their appearance truly peculiar. "Xian, watch out!" Qi Xiao suddenly exclaimed beside him, but it was already too late. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The grid-like vines under Jiang Xuan's feet suddenly rose like a large net, quickly closing in, forming a circular cage, trapping Jiang Xuan inside. What the heck is this? Jiang Xuan was shocked, trying to tear the vines apart, only to find them very tough. Even with his current strength, he couldn't break them. Meanwhile, some smaller vines, with thorns, extended towards Jiang Xuan from all directions. The thorns of the vines carried a paralyzing toxin, and once jabbed, the trapped prey would lose the ability to resist and eventually be strangled to death, decomposing and becoming nourishment for the vines. The cage's interior was very small, and Jiang Xuan couldn't tear the vine apart, making the situation extremely critical. At the critical moment, Qi Xiao rushed over with a stone knife, crouched down, quickly peeled away the fallen branches and leaves, then hacked the main stem of the strange vine fiercely, which was close to the ground. This vine was known as the cage vine, with its top part forming a circular net-like structure resembling a spider web, while its bottom part was a shorter main stem close to the ground. It's very dangerous. Once trapped, unless one's strength is sufficient, it's very hard to escape alone. Only someone knowledgeable and outside the cage can accurately locate its main stem and promptly cut it to rescue the trapped individual. Qi Xiao's stone knife was sharpened very sharply, and with her full force hacking, she quickly cut through the main stem of the cage vine. After a few strikes on the main stem of the cage vine attacking Jiang Xuan, the vines noticeably slowed down, and upon cutting through the main stem, those vines immediately lost their ability to attack, no longer moving. Go Tung, Shi Qiu, and Nan Xing ran over and hurriedly tore open the entangled vines, rescuing Jiang Xuan from inside. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. "Sis, what kind of vine is this?" "It's really terrifying," Jiang Xuan asked uneasily, looking at the vines. "This is called cage vine. Its thorns have a paralyzing venom, which can trap prey and then slowly strangle it. If you see these vines on the ground, make sure to bypass them." Jiang Xuan, Go Tung, and the others nodded in agreement, already having witnessed the vine's fearsome nature. However, its juice is quite useful. Apply a bit to arrowheads or spearheads. Once it hits the prey, they will gradually become paralyzed and slow down their movements. Qi Xiao took her long and short spears, along with her stone knife, and applied the juice of the cage vine onto their points and edges. Jiang Xuan, Go Tung, and others also applied the juice containing paralyzing toxins to their weapons. Afterwards, the 5 continued forward, now even more cautious and vigilant after the earlier incident. Chapter 17, Stone, Egg, and Thorny Fruit. Walking in the jungle, Jiang Xuan thoughtfully looked at his bamboo spear, specifically the juice on it. "Sister, do other tribes know about this cage vine?" Qi Xiao turned her head and said, "I don't know. This vine is quite rare. I've only heard stories about cage vine from the hunting team, but this is the first time I've seen it. Jiang Xuan's eyes lit up, and he said, "What if we plant a large number of cage vines around the tribe to protect it? What do you think?" In this primordial world, the greatest dangers aren't only fierce beasts, but also other tribes. For example, the deer tribe was wiped out by the crow tribe. Every year, countless tribes rise, and countless tribes are destroyed in the primitive jungle. For a small tribe like the vine tribe with only 5 people, a slight mistake could lead to their obliteration. Therefore, self-preservation is something Jiang Xuan must consider. Jiang Xuan thinks that ferocious plants like cage vine are perfect for protecting the tribe. Qi Shao pondered for a moment and said, "Other tribes would generally try to eradicate such dangerous plants. Whether we can use them to protect the tribe? I'm not sure, but we could give a try." Go Tung, who was beside them, curiously asked, "Leader, such a rare cage vine, where can we find enough to plant around the tribe?" Jiang Xuan said, "There will always be a way, and it's not just cage vine that we can plant. Other ferocious plants are also an option. This matter is not urgent." The 5 continued walking ahead, not far along when Qi Shao seemed to have spotted something. She quickly went to a rock and pulled down a withered vine from it, then followed the vine to its root. "Nanxing, bring the bone plow." The youngest, Nanxing, was carrying a bone plow, which was specifically for uprooting plants. Coming, Nanxing ran to Qi Shao's side and handed her the bone plow. Qi Shao took the bone plow, cleared away the dead leaves and weeds from the ground, and started digging. Jiang Xuan walked over, curiously asking, "Sister, what are you digging for?" Qi Shao answered while digging stone eggs. "Stone eggs?" Jiang Xuan's eyes shone brightly. He already knew from memory what these were. It's a grayish-white tuber of a vine plant. The largest can grow to the size of a basin, and the smallest is as tiny as a bird's egg. Since it typically grows by stones, and its color resembles stone, the early tribe people thought it was eggs laid by stones, thus calling it stone egg. When roasted, stone egg tastes similar to potatoes, rich in starch, and can fill the stomach. One of the traditional foods of the tribe people. This is a good thing. Jiang Xuan realized sharply that if stone egg could be planted in large quantities, the vine tribe would have its first grain crop. Soon, the soil was dug open, revealing stone eggs hidden underground. It was about the size of a soup bowl, rock-like on the outside, stone gray, relatively smooth. Jiang Xuan estimated that this stone egg weighed about 7 or 8 pounds. Qi Shao dug away all the soil around the stone egg, then hugged it tightly and twisted it hard. With a crunch, the root of the stone egg was snapped off. Such a big stone egg. Qi Shao held up the stone egg, marveling at it. "Let me take a look." Jiang Xuan took the stone egg. It felt heavy in his hands and emitted a faint, tuberous fragrance. Jiang Xuan said with satisfaction, "This thing is great. We can dig up the smaller ones to plant back home. If successful, we'll have endless stone eggs to eat in the future." Upon hearing Jiang Xuan's words, Qi Shao continued to dig energetically. She's a person of action, doesn't like talking much, and works quickly. Soon, Qi Shao dug up 7 or 8 small stone eggs, the largest the size of an adult's fist, the smallest only the size of a thumb. Jiang Xuan carefully placed these small stone eggs into a separate beast hide bag and said contentedly, "With these seeds, we could try planting them back at home." Since stone egg likes growing close to stones, Jiang Xuan planned to plant them where there are large rocks to mimic their natural environment as much as possible and later try other planting methods. After digging up the stone eggs, the group continued forward. Moo! In the distance, a herd of wild buffalo passed by, covered with brown hair, topped with sharp horns, their shoulders higher than a person, and weighing at least 3,000 pounds each. These wild buffalo are truly great beasts. The thought of having to hunt one alone to become a 3-color warrior made Jiang Xuan's scalp tingle. Wild buffalo usually travel in herds, and once injured, they become frenzied and aggressive, actively attacking. Therefore, to hunt a mature wild buffalo requires not only strength, speed, and hunting skills, but also intelligence. Otherwise, a failed hunt might result in death by cow horns. Jiang Xuan had no intention of provoking this large group, at least not for now. Once stronger, he might try to capture a few calves to domesticate, and if successful, they could be used for plowing fields, greatly improving productivity. After bypassing the herd, Qi Xiao discovered a large wild fruit tree, surrounded by several saplings. Qi Xiao picked up a fruit about the size of a fist from the ground, covered with spikes, and used a stone knife to cut it open, revealing pale, yellow flesh inside. This is called thorny fruit. You might have eaten it before. It has sharp spikes on the outside, but it's full of fruit inside. After picking it, you can roast it with fire. Once roasted, the outer spikes are pretty much burned off. Jiang Xuan also picked up a thorny fruit from the ground. Its flesh is in a ball shape, not split into two like a chestnut, and not enclosed in a hard shell. The fruit's flesh texture is similar to other nuts, and its size makes it a good food for filling the stomach. Additionally, it stores well. Even in the wild, it takes a long time to crack and rot after falling to the ground. This is good. Let's dig up the saplings and take back the edible fruits. Qi Xiao nodded and then used the bone plow once again, digging up the small thorny fruit trees from the roots, wrapping them with large leaves and placing them in a vine basket. With the efforts of the five, they collected a basket full of intact thorny fruits and dug up 5 saplings. After that, Jiang Xuan noted the location of the large thorny fruit tree. Qi Xiao looked at the sky and said, "It's getting late. We can't continue forward. Let's head back first." Staying overnight in the wild is extremely dangerous because no one knows if a beast will attack during the night. Unless absolutely necessary, no one wants to stay overnight in the wild. All right, let's go back first. Head out earlier next time. Jiang Xuan nodded in agreement, heading back the way they came. "Goteng, come down quickly," Jiang Xuan called out looking up. Goteng had already climbed to the top of the large thorny fruit tree. This guy really liked climbing trees. "All right, I'll come down soon." Goteng, standing high on the tree, answered back, still relishing the view around him. Standing at the treetop, he could see the distant forest, a feeling he enjoyed a lot. Just as Goteng was about to climb down, he suddenly saw a wisp of smoke in the distance. Goteng didn't climb down, but observed carefully for a moment, his expression gradually turning serious. "Why haven't you come down yet?" Jiang Xuan urged from below. Goteng looked down and said, "Leader, it seems like someone is making a fire over there." Hearing this, the 4 below immediately tensed up. Encountering people from outside tribes in the forest is never a good sign. Meeting a savage tribe could lead to immediate conflict. "Are you sure?" Jiang Xuan asked. "I saw it clearly. Someone is definitely making a fire." "I'll come up and take a look." Jiang Xuan quickly climbed the tree. As a one-color warrior, his tree climbing speed was fast, and shortly he was standing alongside Goteng. "Leader, over there." Goteng pointed to the south. Following Goteng's direction, Jiang Xuan saw a plume of thick smoke rising straight up, indeed the shape of smoke from a bonfire. Jiang Xuan's heart sank. Although it was far from here, there's no guarantee when those people might appear near the Vine tribe. It seems that the environment around the Vine tribe is not as safe as they thought. "Let's go back first." Jiang Xuan and Goteng climbed down the tree together. Jiang Xuan briefly explained the smoke situation to Qi Xiao and the others. Out of fear of danger, the 5 did not stay or investigate the smoke source further. They returned directly to the Vine tribe along the original path. Even though they hadn't encountered outsiders yet, a sense of crisis already loomed over their hearts. The Vine tribe was just newly established and very weak, not capable of withstanding any attack. Jiang Xuan hoped those people were just passing by and wouldn't pose a threat to the Vine tribe. Chapter 18. Making Bows and Arrows. After returning to the bamboo hut, the sky had already darkened. Jiang Xuan lit a torch, chose suitable places to plant the small stone eggs and saplings he brought back, and then began to think about self-defense. The smoke in the forest lingered in his mind for a long time, like a sword hanging overhead. No one knew when it would come down. In the primitive jungle, people from different tribes were often more terrifying than beasts. Beasts could be driven away by various means, but between tribes, encounters often resulted in a fight to the death over resources like prey and population. Therefore, for the vine tribe to survive long-term, they must start considering how to protect themselves when facing other tribes. Jiang Xuan thought for a long time and decided to do 3 things first. First, to improve the strength of the 5 people as much as possible and make defensive and offensive weapons. Second, speed up the process of planting and breeding, ensure sufficient food for the tribe, and then find ways to increase the population. Third, build a defense line of dangerous plants around the tribe, using plants like cage vine and biting flowers to protect the tribe. Among these 3 things, the first is the most critical at present, because the latter 2 would take a long time to accomplish, while making weapons could increase combat power in a short time. In the jungle, there were not many weapons that could be made by hand. Jiang Xuan planned to make bows and arrows. Bows and arrows are true long-range lethal weapons. Their appearance replaced the highly inaccurate, short-range stone-throwing ropes and spear throwers. Whether in hunting or fighting against other tribes, the side with more excellent archers often had a greater advantage. Shurqiu had a bamboo bow, but it was too soft and couldn't withstand the power of a one-color warrior. It had almost become a toy. Due to limited conditions, Jiang Xuan planned to make a simple bow. A bow that uses only one primary material for the bow body is called a simple bow. It is easy to make and can be constructed using primitive tools. As for compound bows that combine and glue multiple materials, although more powerful, they are very time-consuming and demand high requirements for tools and craftsmanship, which Jiang Xuan couldn't make at the moment. The next day, Jiang Xuan prepared to make bows and arrows. Crack! Jiang Xuan found a high-hardness pebble by the creek, and after breaking it, selected a few large stone pieces with sharp edges. Bringing them back to the bamboo hut, he first made a simple stone axe, then selected suitable wood in the forest near the bamboo hut. "Chief, what are you looking for?" Qi Xiao came over as expected. She was always worried about Jiang Xuan going out alone, fearing he might encounter accidents. Jiang Xuan turned around and said helplessly, "Sister, how many times have I told you? Just call me Xian." Qi Xiao stubbornly replied, "Since you became the chief, then I have to call you chief." Qi Xiao was a person of strong will. Once she made up her mind, it was hard for others to persuade or change it, so Jiang Xuan had to give up persuading her. "I'm looking for wood suitable for making bows and arrows." Jiang Xuan said, "People from outside tribes might find this place at any time. If we practice well with the bows and arrows, at least we don't have to fight them hand-to-hand in case of conflict." In short, the 5 members of the Vine tribe were too weak, too young, with pitifully little combat experience, and had no chance in close combat. Range attacks were the best way. Qi Xiao nodded and said, "I have seen tribal warriors hunting bows. Let me help you find the right wood." "All right." Qi Xiao, after all, had been in the hunting team for half a year and knew much more about the animals and plants in the forest than Jiang Xuan did. The 2 walked around the woods twice, and Qi Xiao's eyes lit up when she saw a big tree. It was a tree that required at least 5 people to hug it fully, almost growing straight, very tall and dense. Qi Xiao used a stone knife to peel away some bark from the tree, revealing a purple trunk inside, which soon oozed red sap. This kind of tree, we call it the purple blood tree, because as long as you cut its bark, you can see a purple trunk, and its sap is like blood. It is very tough, hard to break. In the past, the warriors of the tribe liked to use it to make long spears, and most of the hunting bows of the warriors in the hunting team were also made from this tree. But be careful, its sap is slightly poisonous. If you have a wound on your hand that touches the sap or accidentally ingests the sap, you'll feel pain all over your body for 2 or 3 days. After cutting down a purple blood tree, warriors would usually roast it with fire first or store it for a few months, so the sap inside would solidify and there would be no worry about poisoning. Jiang Xuan nodded and kept Qi Xiao's words in mind. This tree was too big. Even its branches were extremely thick, and since it grew so tall, making bows and arrows required smaller trees. Fortunately, there were many small purple blood trees near the big tree. Jiang Xuan chose 6 that were as thick as a bowl, straight, and free of knots, and cut them down in one go. After removing the branches and treetops, they tied them with vines, with Qi Xiao and Jiang Xuan each carrying 3 back to the bamboo hut. Back at the bamboo hut, he first followed Qi Xiao's advice and hung these purple blood trees horizontally over the fire pit to roast for a whole day, so that their sap would solidify and not seep out when cut and shaved. Afterwards, he peeled the bark of the purple blood trees and used a stone axe to slowly cut them into suitable bough shapes. The middle position of the bough body was the stress point and the place to grip, which was thicker, while the curved bough belly on both sides was thinner. This step required great care because if not cut well, unevenly, or if the wood grain of the bough body was damaged, the bough made would easily deform or even break. As bows and arrows needed to be made for 5 people, Jiang Xuan alone was obviously not enough. Everyone helped with the rough processing, while Qi Xiao and Jiang Xuan handled the final work. After cutting the bough body into the right shape, Jiang Xuan also carved out notches on both sides to tie the bowstring. Then he selected the most durable tree bark rope as the bowstring, bent the bough body slightly, and tied the bowstring onto it. Next came the taming bough process. Newly made bows couldn't be bent too far right away, as it would damage the bough body. Taming the bough meant gradually letting the bough back adapt to bending, while continuing to shave and adjust the bough body to ensure both sides bent evenly during this process. Jiang Xuan made a simple taming bough frame, then placed the bough on it, first pulling the bough to a relatively small extent, fixing the bowstring to keep it open, and carefully observing the bending of both sides of the bough body. Where the bough body didn't bend enough, he would plane and scrape it more with a stone knife until both sides looked even. Once the bough gradually adapted and bent to the right angle, it was taken off the taming bough frame, the bowstring was fixed, and it was polished again. Up to this point, a primitive simple bow was basically completed. If the conditions allowed, it would be best to coat the bow body with tung oil to prevent moisture and cracking. Jiang Xuan didn't have tung oil, but based on Qi Xiao's suggestion, found a kind of natural tree lacquer, which when applied, also provided the same effect. Afterwards, Jiang Xuan also made some arrows. The arrow shafts used a kind of straight-growing small shrub, which could be used directly after roasting and straightening. The arrowheads were made from polished triangular stone pieces, and Jiang Xuan's previously stored swim bladders came in handy. After cooking fish swim bladder glue and adding some fibers, the arrowheads could be firmly glued onto the arrow shafts. The arrow feathers used bird tail feathers, splitting the end of the arrow shaft, clamping symmetrically positioned tail feathers, and then tying them with fine thread. After finishing the arrowhead, arrow shaft, and arrow feathers, an arrow was thus completed. 10 days later, all 5 bows and some arrows were made. Everyone in the vine tribe now had their own bow and a batch of arrows. With his first bow, Jiang Xuan led the group into the woods, ready to try out the newly made bows and arrows. Jiang Xuan was the first to act, aiming at a big tree about 20 meters away, whose diameter was about the size of a basin. He held his breath, drew his bow with an arrow, and then aimed at the trunk of the big tree before releasing the bowstring. Whoosh! The arrow whistled through the air, but brushed past the big tree, lodging itself in another tree. It missed. Jiang Xuan felt quite embarrassed, especially with the others watching him. Qi Xiao gently consoled him. It's okay. Missing your first shot is normal. Any archer needs long-term training to shoot accurately. Jiang Xuan nodded and said, Keep practicing. I refuse to believe I can't shoot straight. Jiang Xuan continued shooting one arrow after another, retrieving the arrows when he finished, and practiced once more. He was a person with patience and perseverance. Once he decided to do something, he wouldn't give up easily. An hour later, he finally found some rhythm, occasionally hitting larger targets. The others were also diligently practicing. Chapter 19, Means of Self-Preservation. The first year of the formation of the Vine tribe, spring, March 2nd. In the southern forest of the Vine tribe, over a dozen bighorn sheep were grazing while warily observing their surroundings, ready to flee at the slightest disturbance. These bighorn sheep had brown fur and were massive, with adult bighorn sheep weighing over 500 pounds. The most distinctive characteristic of the bighorn sheep was the pair of large, curved horns on its head, resembling the size of bison horns rather than the slender nature of regular sheep horns. Whoosh! Suddenly, an arrow flew through the gaps in the branches and leaves of a large tree, shooting towards one of the bighorn sheep like lightning. Bah! The arrow struck the bighorn sheep in the belly, and it let out a miserable cry. Then, with the arrow buried in its stomach, it started to run away. The sheep herd was thrown into chaos. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. At this moment, from two other directions, more arrows were shot out, with two hitting the same bighorn sheep, while the other two missed. The bighorn sheep herd began to run wildly, especially the two that were hit by arrows, crying out miserably as they ran, heedless of direction. Chase! Jiang Xuan jumped down from a big tree, slung his bow over his back, and with a bamboo spear in hand, quickly ran after the herd. Qi Xiao, Go Tung, Shi Qiu, and Nanxing also jumped down from their trees, chasing along with Jiang Xuan. Fortunately, they were all one-color warriors now, much more robust than ordinary people. Otherwise, it would have been difficult to catch up with the fast-running bighorn sheep herd. As time passed, the two bighorn sheep that had been hit by arrows began to slow down due to severe blood loss from their wounds caused by the vigorous activity, and eventually fell heavily. After the two bighorn sheep collapsed, Jiang Xuan and the others quickly caught up and finished them off to ensure their death. Qi Xiao used a bamboo tube he carried and collected the fresh sheep blood from their necks, intending to take it back and cook it rather than drinking it raw as they used to. The other four did the same. None of them drank the raw blood. Due to the lack of salt, the blood of mammals like bighorn sheep could replenish the necessary salt lost after intense exercise, so drinking blood was normal for the tribe people. Since Jiang Xuan informed them, under the guise of an elder from a dream, that drinking raw blood could lead to illness, Qi Xiao and the others stopped drinking raw blood and took it back to cook it before consuming it. Jiang Xuan extracted the arrow from a bighorn sheep's belly, wiped off the blood, and said, "The archery training indeed paid off. Hunting these large prey is much easier than before." Qi Xiao agreed. "Yes, the bow and arrow have a long range, catching the prey off guard. It's much better than throwing short spears and stone-throwing ropes." Goting happily looked at the two bighorn sheep and said, "Such big horns would look great hanging on the wall." The tribe people liked using horns, teeth, feathers, and other parts of their prey to decorate houses and themselves, and the youths were no exception. They planned to take the complete skulls back and hang them on the bamboo house walls as decorations. Jiang Xuan said, "Let's find some vines to tie them up first, and then find two poles to carry them back." "Yes, chieftain." The five of them immediately got busy. A few minutes later, the two bighorn sheep were tied up, and the poles to carry them were found, ready for the journey home. Suddenly, from afar came a faint, woo-woo, howling sound. Jiang Xuan held his breath and listened. He was familiar with that sound because it was the noise made by tribe people when driving away prey. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Jiang Xuan quickly climbed the tallest nearby tree, stood above the jungle, and heard the sound more clearly, mixed with the cries of beasts. Due to the dense trees, Jiang Xuan could hear the sound but could not see anyone, only a flock of startled birds. Jiang Xuan climbed down and gravely said to Qi Xiao, "Those people's hunting range is getting closer to this area. Sooner or later, they will find our tribe's location." When Jiang Xuan first saw smoke from campfires, he knew that outsiders had also come to this forest. Gradually, they could see smoke more often, coming closer, and now they could even hear the sounds of hunting. This made Jiang Xuan anxious. The Vine tribe had worked hard to achieve a better life, and he could not tolerate having everything destroyed. Qi Xiao comforted him. "With the Vine God here, even if they find us, they won't easily attack because they won't gain much even if they take over the Vine tribe." Jiang Xuan nodded. Qi Xiao had a point. There were only 5 of them, and they hadn't settled long enough to accumulate many resources. If the outsiders realized that attacking would cost them heavily, they might not attack so easily. However, Jiang Xuan was unsure about the old vine's nature and could not guarantee it would protect them if the time came. For his safety, He couldn't rely entirely on the old vine. He needed to find ways to protect himself. Let's head back. Jiang Xuan and Qi Xiao picked up one big horned sheep, while Go Tung and Shi Qiu carried the other, with the youngest, Nanxing, on guard duty. Half a day later, the five returned to the bamboo house, where the two big horned sheep were quickly processed. The sheepskins were stripped, dried, and soaked to make beast-hide clothing for winter or bed coverings. As the three youths desired, the sheep heads were cleaned of meat to be used as decorations. The mutton was cut into pieces, hung over the fire, and smoked day and night to prevent spoilage. The sheep bones were used to make bone knives, bone spears, bone plows, and other weapons and tools. Almost every part of the bighorn sheep was effectively utilized, with even the inedible parts thrown into fish traps as bait. The tribespeople, living in a resource-scarce environment, wasted nothing that could be used. After processing the two bighorn sheep, Jiang Xuan and the others had a hearty meal, gaining the energy to continue working. I plan to dig a tunnel under our bamboo bed so that if the outsiders attack, we can temporarily hide in the tunnel. Jiang Xuan shared his idea with Qi Xiao and the others. The inspiration for digging tunnels came from his previous life's knowledge of the tunnel warfare. During wartime, civilians used their ingenuity to the fullest for survival. They dug tunnels beneath stoves, beds, cabinets, and other hidden spots in their homes. Whenever the enemy approached, they would hide in the tunnels, eluding them, and resume their lives after the enemy left. Jiang Xuan intended to dig a simple tunnel for self-protection, believing that, if done discreetly, with the tribespeople's limited awareness, it would be hard for them to discover it. Qi Xiao's eyes lit up after hearing this and said, "That's a good idea. I agree." "We agree too." Jiang Xuan nodded. "Great. We'll take turns digging the tunnel starting today." Without delay, Jiang Xuan grabbed a bone plow, moved a bamboo bed aside, and began to dig. Thanks to increased strength and improved tools, although there were many bamboo roots underground, Jiang Xuan made quick progress. Qi Xiao used a vine basket to carry the dugout soil to the field outside. From that day on, two of them would dig the tunnel daily, while others hunted, fished, or farmed. Days later, the Vine tribe's bamboo house had a tunnel inside that continued to widen and deepen. With this tunnel, they could hide temporarily when facing insurmountable danger, ensuring their survival. Chapter 20 Rock Frog. March 15th. The rain became more frequent, often lasting several days at a time, and the water levels in the creeks and rivers were rising rapidly. Huff, huff. Under the eaves of the bamboo hut, Jiang Xuan was diligently using the bone plow to dig drainage ditches, along with Qi Xiao and others doing the same. With the increase in rain, water could easily accumulate under the eaves, and without drainage ditches, their bamboo hut would be damp everywhere. Fortunately, the top of the bamboo hut was covered with two thick layers of bark, and since it was newly built, there weren't many leaks. After finishing the drainage ditches around the bamboo hut, the rainwater flowed back towards the creek along the ditches. Due to the rain, muddy water from the mountain flowed into the creeks, making the creek water very turbid and increasing the flow rate. Jiang Xuan wiped the rain off his face, washed the bone plow, and went back inside the bamboo hut. "Everyone, have some ginger tea." Because of digging drainage ditches in the rain, all five of them got wet. Even though they were now one-color warriors with stronger physiques, Jiang Xuan was still worried about catching a cold from the rain and had prepared ginger tea in advance using a pottery jar. Jiang Xuan used thick bamboo husks to hold the hot pottery jar and poured a bowl of ginger tea for everyone. The ginger was wild ginger, with a strong flavor and no sugar added, making the tea quite unpalatable. However, the tribespeople were pretty adaptable, having eaten even worse things before, so drinking a bowl of ginger tea was nothing to them. Soon, they all finished their bowls of ginger tea. Another pottery jar contained bamboo shoots stewed with bighorn sheep meat, which had been stewing for a long time, and Jiang Xuan took some meat from the jar with chopsticks to eat. As the weather warmed and with more rain, the bamboo shoots in the bamboo forest shot up crazily, and even inside the bamboo hut, bamboo shoots occasionally emerged from the ground. These bamboo shoots naturally became food and were good for stewing with meat. After drinking ginger tea, eating the meat, and warming up by the fire, their bodies quickly became warm, and the damp, cold feeling from the rain was swept away, uplifting their spirits. Gotung complained, "It's raining every day, and we can't go hunting. The creek water has risen so much that the fish traps we dug before are submerged and completely unusable." Jiang Xuan looked up at the bighorn sheep meat being smoked over the fire pit and said, "It's okay. This meat is enough to last us for a while. Plus we have plenty of fish. We won't go hungry." The others nodded, and the meat hanging over the fire pit was their reassurance because the feeling of hunger was really awful. "It's not that we can't go hunting at all." Qi Shao suddenly looked outside the bamboo hut and said, "Rain has its advantages. Some prey like to come out during rainy days." Putting down his bowl, Qi Shao suddenly picked up a long spear and walked outside the bamboo hut. Ribbit! A loud frog croak suddenly sounded, echoing through the bamboo forest, loud and clear. "Frog!" Jiang Xuan's eyes lit up, and he immediately grabbed his spear and followed Qi Shao outside. As the two ran out, Gotung, Shiqiu, and Nanxing also grabbed their spears and rushed out. Outside the bamboo hut, on a newly cultivated field, there was a giant frog the size of a wash basin, squatting there, using its tongue to eat insects emerging from the ground. This was a rock frog. Its body was bluish-gray, looking like a rock from a distance, hence the name rock frog. After days of rain, the soil was soaked, and the underground insects couldn't take it anymore, emerging to the surface, becoming a feast for the rock frog. Jiang Xuan and the others also ate quite a few insects that emerged on rainy days. Perhaps to avoid the rain, various insects, both large and small, fled towards the bamboo hut, some climbing the walls, and even some going inside. For Jiang Xuan, there was no reason to reject these foods that came to him. As long as it was edible, they caught all of them and roasted them for food. Similarly, on rainy days, for frogs not afraid of water, hunting insects became easier, making it a carnival day for them. Of course, they didn't expect to become food themselves. Qi Shao didn't rush at the rock frog, but crouched down instead, waving a hand behind him to signal Jiang Xuan and the others to slow down. Frogs were also part of the tribe's diet. The process of hunting over long years allowed them to develop many strategies for dealing with various prey. Frogs had very poor vision and could clearly perceive and avoid fast-moving objects. The slower the movement, or an entirely still object, the harder it was for them to see clearly. Thus, Qi Shao moved very slowly, inching closer to the rock frog. When Qi Shao felt she was close enough to the rock frog to stab it with her spear, she made her move. Whoosh! Qi Shao suddenly accelerated, raising her spear and stabbing it towards the wash basin-sized rock frog. At this moment, the rock frog wanted to turn and hop away, but was too late. It could only jump sideways with all its might. However, Qi Shao was quick, stabbing in the back before it could leap, preventing the rock frog from jumping. Ribbit! The rock frog stretched its four legs, struggling desperately. Qi Shao pulled out a stone knife from her waist and stabbed it in the back of the head, causing its limbs to stretch straight, clearly unable to survive. "What a big frog!" Jiang Xuan, who had caught up, exclaimed. In this world, whether insects or animals, everything was enormous. Qi Shao grasped one of the rock frog's legs, hoisting it up, and said, "This is considered small. I heard from older members of the hunting team that they once caught a rock frog with legs thicker than a human's leg. How big would that be?" Just imagining it left Jiang Xuan stunned. The three young men were also filled with longing, wishing they could catch such a big rock frog themselves. "Let's head back." Qi Shao grabbed the wash basin-sized rock frog and walked back, with Jiang Xuan and the three young men following behind with excitement, not even caring about the rain. After returning to the bamboo hut, Qi Shao exerted force with a stone knife to cut open the belly of the rock frog, removing the intestines and organs, which Jiang Xuan threw into the pond to feed the carnivorous fish. Afterward, Qi Shao divided and skewered the frog's legs and body with sticks, setting them over the fire to roast. Under the high heat, the frog meat turned from white to the color of roasted meat, with the fat sizzling and popping. The rock frog's meat had a unique feature. It contained a special fat that, when roasted, smelled incredibly fragrant, making mouths water just smelling it. Smells amazing. Jiang Xuan couldn't resist tearing off a piece of meat from the roasted section and stuffing it into his mouth. It was a texture entirely different from regular animal meat. Roasted rock frog meat was exceptionally tender and had little fishy taste, so even without seasoning, one bite left a lasting impression. A worldly delicacy. Jiang Xuan marveled after swallowing the frog meat. Qi Shao laughed. If you find it tasty, eat more. That big one is enough for the 5 of us to have a hearty meal. Once the rock frog was thoroughly roasted, the 5 of them dug in with gusto. Jiang Xuan especially chomped down on a huge frog leg, thoroughly enjoying himself. With their great strength and large appetites, they devoured the rock frog, even the size of a millstone, leaving nothing. Eventually, they also ate some bighorn sheep meat before stopping.